everyone, and welcome to Season 10 of Spine Chill. I'm here today, John Wolfe, with my friends, The Blonde.
That's me, hello.
And Hatman.
Hatman coming at you fresh and stuck up, I'll tell you what.
Hatman, I've been waiting to ask you all week. What's your deal?
Oh my god, dude. Oh,
These are based on some very entertaining comments we got on the last season and our discussion surrounding the night and the state of DBD. I'm glad that I didn't get a cruel nickname, but Dawg and Gary were not so fortunate.
I get the sense you're a little jealous you didn't get a nickname.
No,
We're
I'm
fine.
glad.
Give us some time. John will get a
happy.
nickname from the YouTube comments eventually, but until then, we'll just have to call you Little Cod.
Yeah, little cod.
I mean, I get tons of nicknames on my main channel all the time
True.
that are not so nice, so I always have those to lean back on.
True.
Today is a very exciting episode. I believe it was season 5 we did a killer tier list, and it was such a rousing success that we've decided to do another tier list, and this one is going to be on maps in Dead by Daylight. We'll be rating these maps from S tier to D tier, and I think we're just kind of going off the basis of overall preference. Some of us are going to have a little more of a balanced perspective, game balance perspective, like Doug. Some people are just going to lean more on how the map looks to them and the aesthetic. And, we'll just see how it all shakes out. I'm probably going to go with how fun I think the maps are to play Dead by Daylight on, for Survivor and Killer combined.
Yeah,
That's probably
we've got
what I'm
nice
gonna
mixes
go
as well,
with.
because like we all play Killer and Survivor.
Yeah.
Some lean more Killer, some lean more Survivor. It'll be interesting to see how we bash heads. Or agree.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to argue.
I can't wait to argue. And I have a feeling that the first one is going to be key argument territory. The first one is Azarov's resting place. And I'm going to put it in B tier for now, just while we talk about it. That's the default setting. Azarov's resting place is an Autohaven Wreckers map. One of the 5, I believe. And it's the one with Killer Shack on one side and the office on the other. It's a very vertical map, or horizontal, depending on how you look at it. It's long and it's not very wide. And whoever wants to start,
I would love
can
to.
go ahead.
It's one of my least favorite maps. Weirdly, it's one of the most symmetrical maps in Dead by Daylight. Usually you get 3 gens on one side, 3 gens on the other side, and there's 1 gen somewhere in the middle. So you would think from that perspective, it's quite balanced. But it also means that most matches, killers don't really, if they're smart, they don't tend to leave one half of the map. I just hate it. I hate that map so much. Because it's so symmetrical as well, it's kind of uninteresting to me. Like, just both sides of the map, doesn't matter which side you're on, it's kind of the same thing. I don't know. I just don't really like it. And like that middle section is just a bit of a mess. It's like, I don't know. It's just I just don't enjoy it. I could see Doug immediately didn't like my perspective.
It's not that I don't like your perspective. I'm going to try and be softer with you this week. I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to offend anyone. I'm going to be softer with Gary.
Have you ever heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect, bud?
Yeah. Well, oh my God, no. We're not going to go DK right away. No. So
Go DK.
I would strongly disagree with your not that. I mean, I guess I can't disagree if you just personally don't like it, but I think it's a great map. I would be like leaning towards A tier on this map. I will say that what you said about, well, if the killer is smart, he won't leave one side. Well, if the survivors are smart, they'll bust out the middle gen in between the 2 3 gen areas, and then you can basically like almost immediately deny a 3 gen. Like the survivors are strongly in control of whether or not this map gets 3 gen, unless the killer hard commits to a 3 gen out of the gate, which is again what we would do in comp. We would play like Twins or Freddy on this map.
Because this is a map that I've seen you play comp on.
Yeah, exactly. You remember when I was...
And it fueled my hatred for this map, because it was one of the most boring matches of DBD I've ever seen.
Right, because
you played it really smart.
Yeah, and if you have a good killer, or if you have good survivors, if they're both trying to do the same thing, it turns into like the beginning of the match is crucial, because like your survivors are doing whatever they can to break the 3 gen.
Which helps my art, because like imagine now that most of your games are in solo queue.
Yeah.
And now consider that you have a competent killer and solo queue. This map sucks.
But what if the killer mains, Gary? What if you have a competent survivor team and you're just trying to get your trapper daily done? Like it goes both ways as always in these ASIPs, man. Like I just think that it's a map that isn't as heavily RNG dependent as some other maps maybe. And because again, like you have a pretty much like a guaranteed way out of a 3-gen right there in the center of the map. You got the two sides. You talked about fake. You called it the office. I've never heard it called that. That's crazy. I always call it Fake Shack. I'm like, we got Shack. We got Fake Shack.
I thought it was like officially called the office. That's the only reason I was calling.
Oh, I don't know. And again, if you want to officially make it that, or if it's official somewhere and I've missed it, please, John, let me know. But
I thought it was called the office, the mysterious building, because there's like a desk and there's like paperwork. And
that is
shit,
true. Yeah, it already is an office.
No, I will probably start calling it the office now. Uncredited, of course. But
right.
Yeah, John, what do you think about this map?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your take, John.
So my take, I personally would D-tier this list if it was just me. This map on the list if it was just me. I could solely because I don't like that it is all about the 3-gen. I don't like playing killer on this map. I don't like playing survivor on this map. I think from both sides, I just really dislike that if you play killer, you have to keep the 3-gen in mind more so than on other maps. And I also hate that on survivor, you have to keep the 3-gen in mind more so than on other maps. It's the type of map that has a really linear way to play it. Like you can really only play it one kind of way. Whereas I think a lot of the other maps have a more varied possible play style for both sides. I also, on another note, the middle tiles on this map can be really RNG. I have had games where I was playing killer and they just were able to tile like 2 windows together on the middle tiles, and I was just like, what the hell am I supposed to do against this, and it can create a really horrible scenario. On the other side, I have also had horrible tiles chained together on the survivor side in the middle, and it basically makes the whole thing a death trap.
Yeah, that's a much more eloquent way of me saying, because that's what I meant by it's a mess in the middle. Because like you just
I actually want to take a rare moment here to step in and say I apologize and you're correct. Like when I said that it wasn't as RNG dependent, I kind of I was not taking into account the new tiles setups that they've been releasing, where like the middle can literally have nothing safe at some points. Like,
man, that comment last week's really affected Dawg.
I guess it's just softened me up. I mean, I'll be a survivor main in like 2 or 3 weeks now. I'm sure of it. Yeah, right. No, but yeah, you're right. You can have like 2 of those really bad tiles spawn center, and then it's just like you said, a death trap. There's nowhere to go. The pallets on those tiles are useless, and they're going to just go down instant. So,
and also that 3-gen scenarios. It's one of the maps that I can frequently remember. It just takes a long time. You get stuck on that map for so long sometimes because the 3-gen is such a prominent part of that map's design.
On another thing too, I also hate as killer how the exit gates are almost guaranteed, at least every time I play it, to be on opposite sides of the map.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they can be on like the same side, in which case that's really fucked up for the survivors. But every time I play killer on this map, it's opposite exit gates, and I'm like, well, if there's 2 people alive, like somebody's escaping, as long as they just go for different ones. So
yeah, but as you say, if they're on the same side, it's like, well, what do we do? Because you can basically stand in the middle and see both doors most times, like a little bit of a walk around the shack, and it's like, oh,
yeah.
So I would argue D tier as well.
With all that being said, I like the map. I don't love it. And I would push against D tier, but I won't fight for anything more than C tier. How's that sound?
I mean, I would be fine with C tier. I think there are worse maps than Azarov's that I would be like, no, that has to be D tier. So
there's plenty of those. I would accept C tier,
and I would even argue for B tier because I do like it. But
don't push.
I'm not gonna. It's only the first map, so I'm not gonna push yet. I'm sure we'll have stronger disagreements later. But. Yeah, I will begrudgingly accept C tier and allow us to move on. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. Whew. How does it feel, guys? That was our first one.
We got through it.
Well, just wait.
I'm mostly proud of Dawg.
Are we doing this in order? Is this next one going to be like in order where you're at?
They're in alphabetical order. So the next 5 are all Badham Preschool, but I was thinking we could just do 1 for Badham Preschool.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about the variants because I'll be honest, I'm literally quitting the podcast if you guys don't let me put Badham in D tier.
So. Oh, I was about to say D tier, right?
No,
D tier.
I think we're on the same page. So
let's just do that map.
So Badham Preschool, otherwise known as Springwood. What?
It just makes me sick that you're starting it in B tier, even though we
It's
know
just
it's
in the
not
middle.
staying. I know, but just the thought of it, just seeing it next to B makes me want to throw up. I mean,
Okay.
Go on. Sorry. I'm interrupting.
Should the survivor mains take the lead on this one, Gary?
Absolutely, yeah. I would love to have the closing arguments.
This is our test.
Do you want to go on it, John? I went in for Azarov's.
Okay, yeah. So Badham Preschool is one of the most survivor-sided realms, or Springwood, I should say, in all of DBD. I hate this map. I hate all the variants. There's not. I think there might be one variant that I think is okay, and the other four are just total trash. I really don't like it. I don't like the school. It's not a fun place to loop as Survivor, in my opinion.
That main loop of just going over that fence, running around the building, going back through the main hallway, going back to the fence. Like, it's strong and it's boring as a Survivor. It's just miserable.
Exactly. Badham is like one of the most hold W maps in the game, where you're just rewarded from getting as much distance as possible in scenarios like you said, where you just vault the fence, go around, vault the fence, go around, make sure that the killer's not doubling back. You wait at that corner by the cars. It's just really boring to loop.
And when they catch up with you, you've got those 2 car loops nearby.
Right.
You've got House of Pain. You've got Killer
House
Shack.
of Pain.
There's just stuff everywhere to just be miserable on that map. And, just as a little cherry on top, it looks horrendous. It's just an ugly map.
Is Springwood the only... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, there's that horrible boon that happens in the skull. You know that little back room to the left of the stairs where the gen usually spawns? There's sometimes a totem in there. And when people start booning that, it's miserable.
I also hate the hatch spawn on this map, where like sometimes this killer, I'll kill the last person, and then the last survivor will just be waiting in the basement of the school every time. It's so predictable.
It's like a 90% like hatch spawn. Right? Is it my turn now? Can I go? I just want to
ask real quick: Is Springwood the only map in the game with House of Pain intact?
Yes.
Now that Haddonfield's gone. Okay,
I think so.
I believe so. There's like a quasi House of Pain on Haddonfield, but it's different.
Right.
Yeah, they made it a lot
not
wider,
quite as bad.
It's quite nice. I quite like the new one.
So, insane main building, Killer Shack, House of Pain, connecting tiles to every one of those problematic tiles in the game, like bushes that bump your stuff, like bushes that bump chainsaws.
God. Yeah.
All that distance, all that whole W distance does nothing to help you against Nurse and Blight if they're good. So it's not even like it's good against the S tiers.
Right.
You said the static shack spawns, or sorry, not shack spawns, but hatch spawns. The door problem, the same door problem as Azarov's, where it's like 98% of the time they're going to be on opposite sides of one of the biggest maps in the game.
Yep.
5 variants, ugly. Like this map has no redeeming qualities, and in my opinion, I know that there's a couple other ones that are really bad, but this is, in my opinion, the worst map in the entire game. Like, I will dodge a Badham offering, or I will face camp the first person and try hopefully to kill the guy who brought the offering. Please, can we D-tier it and move on? I don't want to think about it.
Yeah,
can we? So D-tier, okay.
Sorry, I have one more thing to say. There was a leak recently, like within the last 6 months, where they talked about how the Nightmare on Elm Street chapter might be leaving DBD. And I've never in my life been happier about losing content in a game. If I was like, we might lose Freddy and we might lose Quentin, but we'll hopefully lose the map.
We'll lose Springwood too, yeah. Another thing too that I hate about Springwood.
I think about it. We didn't.
Is the school, the 2 breakable walls on each side that like it's just smarter to never break them.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's really boring about the map. Like they put in breakable walls there, and it's like killer players everywhere are just like, well, why would I break those?
It just creates an infinite. Why would you break that?
Exactly.
If you see a killer break that, then you're keck Wing. You're like, okay, well now I have a loop of main, so perfect. I'll just run it forever. And I don't even blame survivors for running it, because I do it too. Like, why would you not run the strongest tile in the game? One of the strongest tiles in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, like I do it. Like when I play
I run it.
I'm like,
but I don't feel clever or fun doing it.
I run it, but I hate myself for doing
it.
Yeah,
exactly.
But what's the other option?
Like
just give yourself up, like.
It's like the old Ironworks window.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I'll run it, but I don't feel good about it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Blood Lodge. This is another Autohaven Wreckers map. It's a very open map, one of the most open in terms of line of sight in the game, and it has the main building, the Blood Lodge, where there's a fireplace and a generator and a second floor that is almost empty, except for like a locker and a chest, and you can fall off of and get killed by the killer. So not a very interesting main building, but it is one of the original maps, original sets of maps. So who would like to take the lead on Blood
I'll start.
Lodge?
I haven't started yet. I'll say great map, in my opinion. Great map. It feels pretty fair for both sides. There's really strong tile in the bus. The bus always spawns, which is always a strong tile no matter what.
Right.
So which is not problematic because again, the main building, like you said, is so benign that having the strong tile at the bus doesn't feel like you're having to also juggle that with a strong main building. Still has a killer shack. Like you said, it's a small, if I feel smaller, I'm not really like well versed on the actual size of the map, but I know playing it from both sides, it feels like a smaller map. A little bit open, but yeah, overall, I'd say to me, I'm talking like maybe an A tier map if I had to give my opinion. So,
I would go, because I think it's a fine map as well. It's not a particularly exciting map. Whenever I see it, the Blood Lodge itself is quite a boring main building. The school bus is quite a boring loop. The rest of it's quite open. There's a hill. That's nice. And there's some nice tiles in the corners generally. Like you usually get some LLT walls or something. I'd probably put it in higher B, but that's not because it's kind of a mid map for me. Like I'm not that. I never go yes, it's this map or no, I hate this map. It's like it's so in the middle for me.
I dislike getting this map when I'm playing a stealth killer because there's so much line of sight or like there's so much open space in the middle. So like if you're playing Ghostface or something, you're gonna get revealed constantly. On the other hand, playing Myers on this map, you get a lot of stock distance to be able to see people. So I guess that's kind of how I feel about the map overall. It's just kind of neutralized. It's like for everything about them, I'm like, it has this. I'm like, well, it also has this. So I would actually agree with B tier.
I guess I could also be rating it a little higher because I don't know about you guys, but did you ever play Blood Lodge before the game, before the rebalance, before they redid Azarov's?
Yes, So I still remember old Azarov's. So
New Blood Lodge is better than Old Blood Lodge.
Yeah, because Blood Lodge used to be like one of the worst maps. It was like if you committed a chase, it was a 5-gen chase every time. That was so bad. So again, maybe it's just like relief over it being so much better that I would go A. Again, I don't love it. I like it, so I'll settle for the Survivor main B tiers. But
Doug's putting little pennies in his piggy bank for later.
I am because at some point you guys
when he wants to go Garden of Joy in S tier.
Yeah, you guys are gonna say something ridiculous, and I'm gonna be like, I gave you guys, all right, I gave you Azarov's and Blood Lodge. You owe me this.
And then we'll have to fold.
True. Power.
Okay.
Decks.
Coal Tower. So this is a Macmillan Estate map, and it has one big 2-story main building with a couple vaults, or maybe just one, actually. Maybe just one on the first floor.
Usually one, and then two breakable doors, right?
Yeah, that's right. 2 breakable doors, and then you can hop down from the top where there's always a generator. And sometimes there's a couple boxes in the middle with a totem, but that's kind of RNG. Other than that, it's a standard Macmillan map. Like, there's a hill, there's some, like, long wall jungle gyms, LT walls, just the typical kind of stuff. There is, like, there's like a water tower, but you can't really interact with it.
There's a fun little hiding spot around, like, a couple of boxes, which sometimes is a totem, and you've got Killer Shack on the other side, which usually is next to a hill as well, right?
Yeah, usually. It's either the hill is either next to Killer Shack or next to the main building. So, it's kind of a run-of-the-mill standard map. The main building is kind of interesting, but I
actually quite like this map. I think it's one of my I really like the Coal Tower, the main building. I think it's quite a fun one to loop around as Survivor because there's some nice pallets around it. There's lockers that you can use. The breakable doors are like a fun element where the killer, once they get rid of them, the killer, like, suddenly it's not as safe, but you've usually got a window vault which can prolong it. But the killer will get you. Like, when I play killer on that map as well, I know I will get them around that main building. I will catch up.
Right.
So I quite like it from that side. And then, obviously, there's the LLT walls and the jungle gyms all around that, which is usually when the Survivor knows that they are in trouble, and they'll start hoping to try and connect to that. And I quite like that. The chase is quite dynamic on that map from both sides. Whenever I play killer or Survivor, As you get like a good chase on it. Gen placement seems pretty fair as well. Killer Shack is like out of the way. So if they choose to use that, they're committing to Killer Shack, which I quite like as well, because again, you're usually going to catch up with them. Yeah, I generally I quite like it. I'd put it in A tier myself.
It's S tier map, in my opinion. This is one of the very best maps in the game.
I'd be happy to put it. I'd be happy to bump it to S.
There's a reason they call it Comp Tower, because it's just a really balanced map. Like, I mean, when RNG elements still can create massive dead zones in places, and RNG elements can still make it super killer. I mean, both sides. The game is an RNG based game, so every single trial is not going to be. But like, the RNG element is very minimal on Cold Tower. You kind of know exactly what you're going to get. It really is one of those maps that when you play it, the better side is usually going to win the game. And for that reason, and again, I just am a big fan of McMillan maps. I like the aesthetic as well. So for me, it's
me too.
it just checks every box for me, and I consider it, like I said, one of the very best maps in the whole game.
I do agree that the main building is really fun to loop. I find it very fair because it's a very strong vault by the stairs, but now there's breakable walls that can make it a little more manageable than it was before the rework. And then I like when I'm playing killer, I love catching people out on the second floor, and then they have to drop because there's nothing else you can do. There's one way up and one way down other than dropping. So I really like Cold Tower, and I'm fine with putting it S tier. That sounds great.
I'd be happy with that.
See, my conspiracy theory here is that John and Gary both already thought it was S tier, but talked about it like it was A tier, so they could pretend they're giving me something here. Like, well, fine.
No, I was thinking like it'd be at the top of A tier, but I'm happy to put it in S tier because
I was thinking A tier myself, but sure, S tier, I don't have no argument.
We'll give you that one. Now we're equal.
We'll give you that one, Doug.
This one's gonna be. I think this one's gonna be a debate because I also love this map. So, well, anyone else can start. I don't have to start, but if you want me to,
is this Dead Dawg?
This is Dead Dawg. Gary, would you like to start?
Okay, sure, yeah. I mean, I don't love this map. It's one of the few maps I will DC if a survivor brings the offering on my team. If I'm playing solo queue and a teammate brings it, I'm like, nah, I'm not having teammates hiding in bushes. I refuse. I think the gens, it's very killer dependent, I find. Like, the gens are very close together. Like, it feels like it's a normal size map, but it feels smaller because the gens are quite close together. I like the main building. I think that's quite a fun place to loop. It can be quite strong. So it's got really nice windows, obviously the breakable doors as well. But the breakable doors are almost pointless. It's like a little starting objective for the killer before they go find a survivor. Go break those doors because you're going to have to at some point do it straight away.
There's 2 breakable doors in the saloon that you break every time, right?
Yeah, straight
one
away,
upstairs, one downstairs. Yeah.
And then if you've got time, you'll break the one in Killer Shack, which I do like the Killer Shack having a breakable door. I think more of them should start having that. I really like the breakable door in Killer Shack. And obviously there's all the breakable doors on all the stuff to the left-hand side as well. Door spawns are pretty fair. I quite like those. Killer Shack, the basement spawns quite a fun place as well, especially when it's behind the saloon. Like, and aesthetically, I love the way it looks. I think it's really cool. I like the sound of the design on it. I just sometimes, like, if I'm against a huntress that's, like, not bad, I'm like, well, they can just... Sometimes it just feels very difficult to not just see a killer just defending 3 gens. Especially when you get... There's sometimes one spawns in the middle of the road, right? And then you've got the one on the hangman's thing, and then you've got one in main, and it's like... Some killers can just see it. Like, they can just see a 3 gen, and they spawn there, and it's like...
Well...
But I know that it's quite good for looping and it's quite fair in places especially against M1 killers. I've had terrible times as killer on that, especially as pig. But I don't know. I don't love it.
So I think you don't love it.
Yeah. I'd probably put it in B myself.
I see. I can see that. Oh, sorry, John, please.
Sorry, go ahead. So yeah, Dead Dawg. So I like Dead Dawg, but I don't love it. Is where I'm at. The Saloon is kind of a mixed review for me because on one hand I do like running it as Survivor, but I can't tell you why, because I liken it to the Springwood fence vault around the school. It's just kind of like you take the vault, you hold W around the down the stairs, up the stairs. One time I did have a killer actually break the wall in between the other vault. Then it literally created an infinite as soon as they did that, and they DC'd. So that was kind of like those breakable walls up there are so pointless. Like you should not be breaking those, or you just create an infinite, right? And I think that there's too many breakable walls on this map overall. Like I'm
because
fine.
this was the map that came out when they first introduced it, isn't it? That's when breakable walls first
Yes.
entered the game.
Yeah.
Yes, like I'm fine with breaking that annoying one at the top of Saloon, the one at bottom of Saloon. But a lot of the other ones, like the one like the LT wall, I'm just like, oh come on, you guys are taking the piss now. Or like that one tile where sometimes there can be two breakable walls on the other side of the vault in the middle of the
that's
tile.
always there. That's always there, yeah. And if you break both, it creates another infinite. You have to only break one.
Right. Yeah. I feel like there's just too many of those. I also don't like the survivors hiding in bushes thing.
Yeah.
I don't like the generator on the Saloon. It's so unsafe. Sorry, not the Saloon. The
hangman's thing, yeah.
gen. I don't like that one. The Saloon one is great if you save it till the end on Survivor, because like unless they're playing Huntress or Deathslinger or something, or Nurse, they have to go up the stairs, you know, and so it's a really strong gen to save for last. Although in my solo games, the survivors tend to want to do that one first. So
yes,
but actually, that one's okay on the survivor side, because then if you get chased to the Saloon, you've got a strong loop there, and there's nobody.
And there's nothing. There's no one getting
guaranteed.
interrupted.
Yeah.
Before Doug jumps in, I just want to say I know why you like that main loop as opposed to Springwood. It's because you have options. You can run straight down the stairs and use that window vault, or you can stick with the main loop. Like you've got choices. You could run around the other way. Sometimes there's a pallet outside on the border of the first floor. Like there's options with it, which makes it.
You can run to the basement.
Yep.
I was going to say the same thing as Gary. The key difference between the Badham loop and the main building loop at Dead Dog is that you have options, and if the killer plays it properly, they can't just run that same loop. The window, stairs, back. They have to make a choice. Are they going to use the downstairs window? Or are they going to go to the back pallet that's, unsafe but gives them more time? Like it depends if they take a hit at the beginning. Like there's a lot of like variance to how main is actually going to be run. It's not just running in a circle. So that's big. Okay. That's big for me. I also want to comment on the breakable walls. Do you remember when that upstairs breakable wall, when there was a bug and the map would spawn with that breakable wall not there? And it was so bad that they had to kill switch the map. They were like, literally the devs were like, we're kill switching the map. Now, if they're going to kill switch a map because a breakable wall doesn't spawn, why not just remove that breakable wall? Shouldn't even be an option anymore. Like,
that's my thing, is that like I like breakable walls where it's a strategic option to break or not break. But that's the problem with like the Springwood school walls. It's like, why would you ever break these? It's a stupid decision.
Yeah.
And some of these breakable walls on Dead Dog, like I know it was their first map with them, but some of the breakable walls, it's like, well, I'm going to break this every time, or I'm not going to break this every time.
And there's so many. Yeah. There is like, I don't know, at least 15, I want to say. There's so many.
In my Light in the Fog match last year, when I got killer, I had the challenge of I had to break every breakable wall on the map. So yeah, there's a lot. 15,
Oh yeah. Yeah, so again, I'm gonna push for A tier on this map, only because I hear your guys' concerns, but I mean, you can 3-gen on every map. I don't think that this one is unique and like that it's easier to 3-gen. There's some that are like Suffocation Pit, Azarovs. Those are easier 3-gen maps. This one I wouldn't consider an easy 3-gen map. It is 3-genable. Hiding in bushes, you can never take. I mean, yeah, it's
my thing is more that you can just see all the gens from like so many points.
Yeah,
it does have very good vision. Yeah,
but then there's also some pretty safe like gens to work on, and then again, they're
all like right in the corner.
There's
like,
good tiles by most.
People do the safe gens
like
there's usually like 4 gens quite central in that map.
Yeah, and then central gives and if you're working on a central map, you have the loot by Gallows, you have the shack, you have the main building, you have the LT walls, you have the double breakable window tile that's really strong even if you break one of the walls. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just gonna argue continually that like there's a reason why when I'm playing killer, they use this map offering. I would never consider dodging it. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't like.
It's an actual good map. And then and same as Survivors. Survivors have a lot of tools to work with, and again, the tools aren't boring. It's not tools like I run the Badham loop until Bloodlust or until the window blocks, and then I just run to the next safest tile in the game. There are safer tiles, but the safer tiles require, again, once you do that window loop the first time, then you've got somewhere that's mind gameable. At that point, the killer has the option to mind game, and the survivor has the option to beat the mind game. Like to me, it just feels like a fun map. a map that rewards skilled play, and in a map pool full of maps that have major issues, this one has none to me, other than obviously we've talked about the breakable walls, but most killers by this point don't break the bad walls, so it's all fine. So to me, it's an A tier map. And again, I'm calling it an A tier map based on not only the map, but the maps that it's compared to. Like, there are not a lot of maps that would even be in a discussion.
I would be willing to jump it to A for me, just because visually, I do really like this map.
Oh, yeah. And
I love the vulture. I love, like, just the sound design of it.
The
I think
vultures,
there's lots of stuff that I really... the map is very unique.
Yeah.
I like putting in A2 just because then
Nice
it
and
makes
tidy.
a nice straight line.
Look at this. Well, we're going to need some in A tier, because I think the D tier is going to get fat here soon.
The D tier is going to get nice and thick.
Well fed.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I listed a bunch of like negatives for Dead Dog, but I do like it overall. It's just some glaring problems that like I would put it in S tier if it weren't for some of those problems.
Yeah, I think it could be S tier with like a little minor tweaking, but I'm not even going to push. I would say I think it's an S tier map because I love it, but I'm not going to argue that it's S tier.
Yeah. Okay, we're in agreement.
Yeah.
The next one is Disturbed Ward, which is the first of the Crotus Pren Asylum realm maps. This one released with the Nurse way back. It has a very large main building at the very center of the map. The Disturbed Ward has some very strong vaults on it. It always has a killer shack, a hill, and then some tiles on the sides. It also has kind of a like an abandoned greenhouse on one side that you are basically just like holding W through on your way to the next loop, so nobody really stops there. And other than that, it's it's just pretty standard fare. Those are really the main attractions for Disturbed Ward. I can go ahead and start if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah,
go for it. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you think.
So Disturbed Ward is, out of the two Crotus Pren maps, this is the more survivor-sided one, in my opinion. I'm not sure if that's common opinion or not, but I do find that the two vaults on the first floor of the ward can be very, very strong, kind of annoying to play on as killer. Especially like if you have some kind of like ranged attack that requires line of sight, because the building is big enough to where there's a lot of space covered, but it's also small enough to where you'd have to turn pretty tightly, so hard to get that hunter's hatchet off in inside the building or a Deathslinger chain unless you're pretty close to the survivor already. So I find the main building to be really frustrating to play on as killer most of the time. Also, getting to the generator there, if that's one of the last generators on the map, I just hate doing it. Other than that, I think the map's okay. I actually kind of like Crotus Pren overall as a realm. I mean, the greenhouse is whatever. That whole area by the greenhouse, when I play Survivor, I try to avoid entirely, because not only is the greenhouse unsafe, but there's there's a generator over there with that horrible pallet. I just try to avoid that whole area. It's just a death trap. And then the other side is fine with like Killer Shack, and usually that's where the hill is. I think that side is fine, but overall, it's like kind of a B tier map for me, is what I would say. I can kind of go either way with it.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the bench palette, which is like one of the worst palettes in the game.
It's so bad.
It's
I
so
love that.
bad.
From the killer perspective, I love that palette.
Oh, of course you do.
Yeah.
Free hit, right? And
If I don't know what to
free.
do in a game on this map as killer, I'm like, let's just go see what's over by the greenhouse. Let's go see what's going on over there.
Yeah, then the greenhouse, I don't know if you guys are aware, I'm a Bubba enjoyer. I don't know if I've mentioned before I like Leatherface, but there's that piece of grass. There's like that vine that hangs down that you bump on in the greenhouse still somehow for some reason.
Really?
God.
It just
did not know
exists,
that.
and like it has no collision when you run through it as a survivor or a killer, but somehow the chainsaw bumps on it, and you're like, okay, so I can't use my chainsaw at the greenhouse ever. But overall, and again, this is another one of the maps that I will probably rate higher because I remember what it used to be, because the old Crotus was like, oh, that was a map offering map. Like, it was really survivor-sided.
Oh, yeah.
And now Crotus feels to me like a pretty balanced overall map. Like, I'm looking, again, my initial snipe is going to be like between a B and A. I like it. It's strong enough to not be a killer-sided map for survivors, but it's not like crazy killer-sided. There's the main building, like you said, is got some insane like safe pallets to start, and you want to get rid of those
Yeah.
quick if you're killer. Even with the pallets gone, the windows there, depending on how RNG favors you, the windows there can be. You'll have to end up. There's the window in like the observatory
Yes.
that they drop down, which can be like really strong, and then you have to break the wall there, and then it becomes
Right.
less strong once you break the wall. But just I do feel like there's a lot of good counterplay for both sides. The tile setups are usually pretty. There's usually some pretty safe LT walls and jungle gyms that are kind of in the surrounding areas. There's a killer shack, but the killer shack isn't really close to main, so it's really hard to chain together without really, running really well or frame perfect. So
Right.
overall, solid map on both sides. No, it's one of the ones that when I zone in on Survivor or Killer, I'm like, okay, yeah, we can do this. This is good. This is good.
Yeah, I would say it's one of my preferred maps. I generally really like it as well. I think the main
Mhm.
building is really interesting from both sides. I like all the holes that you can drop down. I mean, I'm a quick and quiet head-on enjoyer, so I like that I can drop down a hole and slip into a locker.
Right.
I actually like the greenhouse as well because it's got lockers in it since the dredge, so I'm happy with that. Sometimes it's got pallets. So that's like one of the more safe areas in that dead zone with that bench pallet. But yeah, I just really like the map. I think the green, like the conservatory window where the killer can either break that door. It's like I'd break that straight away whenever I play that map.
I do too. Yeah.
It's
a must break.
I really like the mind game of them jumping through the window. You're like, I know exactly what you're doing, so you catch them out. The only thing that I don't really like is the little ramps up into vaults and getting into the main building.
Yeah.
Those can be a bit annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
Both
probably-
sides, right? You can get hung up.
Yes.
on
Yeah.
both, like Survivor or
Really
Killer.
annoying.
I've
And it's
had it
really
happen.
frustrating.
And there's a weird
that's-
collider thing on the stairs at the moment, where sometimes you can like run into it, and it's like you're hitting a collider and can't go up the stairs on the right. If you're looking at the main door from the front, it's like on the left. There's like a weird collider issue. But I put it in A. I really like that map generally. I think it's very fun.
Do
Yeah.
you guys both say A?
Yeah, I'd love to put it in A tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly.
I'll let y'all have this one.
And now we owe John.
That's right. My stock is going up. Actually, I mean, like, yeah, I put it in B, but yeah, A is fine. But yeah, those ramps are really annoying, like you said.
Yeah.
But
I
I
was
feel
thinking
like
the-
every
is
map
the
has
ramps-
something like that.
The ramps and stuff like that is the only reason that I wouldn't be like S tier. But I generally really rate it quite high, that map.
Yeah.
We're so positive. Sickening.
Well, just
Oh, they're
wait.
coming. They're
Oh.
coming.
Just wait.
Okay, well,
Oh.
Eyrie of Crows. I know we're gonna disagree on this one.
Well, I know where John. I'm aware of your feelings on the map, and I think I've mentioned a few times how my feelings are. But so do we want to? Since you and I have both discussed this, before we want to let Gary take this one to start.
Sure, Gary, go ahead.
When I see survivors dragging me to this map as killer, I just clap my hands together and go, oh, okay, let's play a game. Because I like this map. I think it's a really good map. I love that I can see across the map. I think it looks beautiful. I like the sound design in it. I think the loops are fair. I can, they seem pretty balanced. Sometimes it can be a bit punishing because there's some good palettes that link together from the killer's perspective, but generally I enjoy it. Because once those palettes are gone, those are not safe locations for the survivor anymore. So, and I love main building. I like there's 2 breakable doors. We keep saying that. You break those instantly. You may as well not have them. There's that nice bit at the top as well where you can jump out the vault and then the killer has to break the door to drop down to the stairs. You know what I mean? On the second floor.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I like a lot. I just like the main building. I just generally just enjoy that map. I think it's really fun.
Of course you do.
And
You're a Survivor, man. Of course you'd love.
No, I'm talking about like from a killer perspective.
A main building that's the size of Coal Tower. You like that as a killer? That's weird.
I enjoy that main building. I tend to do quite well on that map when I play killer. But that's probably because I play like Nemesis, so I know they're going to take those window vaults quite a lot. I know it could just be the play style I go with that I just quite enjoy.
It could also be your MMR. I don't know. We'll see.
Have you ever heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Hat Man is back. Hat Man is back. No.
But yeah, like and as Survivor, I quite enjoy it. Honestly, like Killer Shack's probably the least enjoyable part of that map because it's usually in like the corner. I don't really pay much attention.
Oh, I
to
like
it.
the Killer Shack. I think I've had some of like the longest chases that I've ever had at that Killer Shack. I don't know why. I think it's because you can chain it with that pallet on the rocks nearby. with
There's
the
usually
window.
There's usually 2 chains by that Killer Shack where you can. I mean, depending on how RNG fleshes out, but there's usually 2 safe pallets.
I like this map. I'd probably lean towards A tier, like the lower end of A tier. I wouldn't fight too hard to keep it out of B. But
if this map goes over C, I'm gonna be upset. But yeah. So John, you want to go or you want me to go? It's up to you.
Sure. Yeah, so I know that we've talked about Eyrie of Crows before, and I've mentioned that I think it's the most Survivor-sided map in the game, and it's also my least favorite. And you guys haven't had as strong of a reaction as that. And Gary even wants to put it in A tier. And I've been thinking about this. I've given this some thought. I've been like, why do I hate Eyrie of Crows so much more? And I think I've figured it out. I think it's because I tend to play like ranged skill shot killers a bit more than y'all do, like Pyramid Head, Huntress. And those, particularly Huntress, are cucked so hard by the Graveyard Mausoleum loops because they're like rock pallets on steroids. Like normally, like one of the most frustrating loops to be on as Huntress is the 2 rocks with the pallet in between. It's normally not a big deal, but like you just can't get a hatchet off on that, and so you got to run around them, try to get the M1 as a 4.4 killer. But the Mausoleum loops on this, they're even wider than the rock loops, and you have no line of sight the entire time. They're tall, they're wide, and you basically just have to run around it until they drop the pallet. And sometimes if it's like a bad survivor, you can raise the hatchet at the last minute, and they'll throw, and you can get a hit. But other than that, you're stuck. Having like if it's a good survivor, and I'm playing Huntress or Pyramid Head, I'm just gonna go for the M1, right? So that's why I hate Eyrie of Crows so much, I think, is because of those loops. And there's like 5 of them. There's like 5 or 6 of them in like the graveyard section, and I hate it. And they always, whenever I'm chasing a survivor, they always take me there. I just hate it. The main building, I also don't really like playing on as killer. I think that the vaults are pretty strong. There's also, like I said, a lot of line of sight blockage. There's some long walls leading around that one with the breakable wall right next to it that you can like once you vault that and you turn left, like you are gone. You know what I mean? Like there's you basically as killer, you just like have to hold W, let me catch up. Or I mean you can try to mind game it, but it's a really long wall and they can just wait at the corner. So I hate Eyrie of Crows. I hate when they take me upstairs in that one. I'm talking about all this as killer. As survivor, I've had several, like some of my longest chases ever on this map. That killer shack you can chain together with some of those rock loops, which I mean you can normally chain killer shack with some other tile, but I find it very consistent on this map. It's like you always have an escape route here. There's very little like dead zone. There's that one pit. But, like, I mean, nobody's going over there. Like, no one's ever going to go to the pit.
Yeah, so
right?
only time people go to the pit is when there's a gen there.
Yeah. So I'm very... And then there's so many boons on the second floor. It's just
Thank
like,
you.
Oh, yeah,
I was
that's
waiting
true.
for someone to bring up the boon in main building. Like, the most ridiculous thing that can happen.
That is a fair thing to hate, yeah.
Like, that's the only reason. What is that perk that you can run that you can like permanently snuff a boon?
Shattered Hope.
Shattered Hope.
Yeah, that's the only reason. If I wish I could swap to Shattered Hope if I got Eyrie of Crows, so that I could just get rid of that boon.
Yeah. Normally, you guys know me. I don't care about boons at all. I'm like, oh, you have Circle of Healing? Fine, you can have it. But if they've got it on the second floor, it's like, now I got to go all the way up there. And then it's
so
such
if they use it, they're so safe. Yeah,
they're so safe. And if they have Shadow Step, like God forbid. Anyway,
yeah. So
I'm D tier but I'm flexible.
I would like D tier as well, and that's the thing. So John and I have discussed it before, and I pushed back on him saying it's the worst map in the game. The only reason I would consider this map any more than D tier is because there's other maps that exist that I think are much, much worse. The main building is the size of Coal Tower. It's got the uncounterable boon upstairs. It's got, like you said, first of all, there's audio, like the little squirt sounds that sound like footsteps.
I hate that.
So like you can't track on it. Right. It's got the killer shack, all these insane. We talked about all the safe pallets. Like you said, this is the kind of map that survivor mains are going to have the chase of their life on, because everything is safe and everything's chained together. And the main building is time consuming. Even as a survivor, if you're on that main building gen, you see the killer coming from a mile away, so you can start planning where your next escape point is going to be. There's colliders on the walls, which I've been told have been improved by some of my Billy main friends, but colliders on the walls that just cause you to bump into random stuff while you're trying to chainsaw. I don't know. It's just a bad map. It's like, to me, it's like the best of the worst. Like, of all the worst maps in the game, this is the one that I hate the least.
King of D tier, you could say.
Yeah, maybe the king of D tier, because it's like,
so I'm the one who's gonna have to concede some space here. I don't think it's that bad. But I understand the Huntress argument. I get that. I understand exactly where you're coming from. The boon thing is a very good point as well. I don't want to. I've had to deal with that. It sucks. I would be happy to put it in with those 2 points. Like thinking about how range, because I've played that map on Deathslinger as well, and that's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's just so big too.
It is a large map. It is a large map.
It is very, very big. It's not the largest in the game, but it's.
I would happily put it in C tier. I think like somewhere like.
But will you begrudgingly put it in D tier for us? Is the question.
I would, but that's some stock for another map later on.
If Gary, if you give me Eyrie of Crows in D tier, I will be very flexible moving on. This is my white whale, okay?
Okay, then you can have it in D tier. Have it in D tier.
He's doing it for Little Cod, not for Hatman. For sure.
Good.
And I'm okay with it being the top of D tier too. Like it's right under C.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want it going like below Badham.
Because I don't hate it. I do want a DC on the map offering because I know that a person who brings Eyrie of Crows knows exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly,
and so it's gonna be rough, but
I think for me it's just like it's one of the most visually interesting maps.
I don't disagree that it's gorgeous.
Good looking.
It's cool. I wish it was a better map because I like the map.
I would like them to we'll talk about this throughout, but like I just wish rather than making the Shattered Square, they could have just given us another variant of Eyrie of Crows. That'd have been fun. Anyway,
that would be cool, yeah.
But I like the drawbridge exit gates though on Shattered Square.
They could have had them in it. They could have had them in it. Why not? Just use that asset.
Yeah.
Well, farewell, Eyrie of Crows.
D tier.
D tier. Ooh, this will be interesting. Family residence. The first Yamaoka estate map to be released. This came out with the Spirit. It's got the main building, the family residence, on one side of the map, and it's got Killer Shack on the other every time. And then around the main building, first of all, there's a couple like strong vaults that you can make weaker with breakable walls. And then there's some unique tiles around, maybe not unique, I guess. They're just like those bamboo,
the little upper
bamboo tiles.
Yeah.
I think they're exclusive to Yamaoka Estate realm. Usually around the main building. There's a little like gazebo that you can go up with like lockers in it. A little further down. I'm trying to think of any other unique tiles that this might have. Other than that, it's just pretty standard, tiles that you have on every other map. Sometimes there's a hill with like a tree on it, and sometimes a gen. I think this is one of the only...
it's one of like multiple entrances to the hill, isn't it? It's like sometimes it's got two ways of going up. Or
I think Red Forest has that one.
Is that the Red Forest one? Okay.
Yeah, this one is the one with the gen on the hill, but no two ways up. Yeah. So family residence. I'll be honest, I don't have like strong opinions on this one. I think it's pretty balanced overall, but so I'll let you guys take the lead. Okay. Also, I got my Eyrie and D, so.
Yeah, so you're just done for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah,
right?
that's all I wanted.
Coasting. No, I like Family Residence a lot. I think it's an A tier map overall. I don't think it's perfect, but it's one that, again, if somebody uses an offering for Yamaoka, like I like both of the maps a lot on both sides. Yeah. So it just feels fair. I do like the aesthetic. I think that, again, like you talked about, the main building is strong but it has counterplay. The main building is going to spawn on the opposite side of the shack, so they can never ideally they can never chain the two together. The mid-gen or the mid pallets are usually like borderline unsafe to unsafe, so they're not able to just kill the entire game going tile to tile. Again, I always speak about these maps from like a killer perspective because I play mostly killer. So, but even on the survivor side, I don't feel like the map is unfair.
I think it's totally fair to think about these from a killer perspective because
killer has the uphill battle on these most of the time,
right? So unless it's like Shelter Woods or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
my thoughts on this map. I don't really have a strong opinion either way. The only thing I would say is that I don't like that there's the gen placement where the main family house is always kind of a bit boring because you've always got one in the house and then one to the left of it and one to the right of it.
Right.
Like, that always feels a little soulless. But aside from that, like I think
the worst 3-gen, by the way.
Yeah,
it's
just that's why it sticks in my mind because I've gone against a killer before that's gone. I'm not playing the rest of the match. I'm just gonna focus on these 3 gens.
I'm hanging at the house for the rest of the
game. It was like basement there.
Yeah, and it was just a miserable match. I was just stuck in it for ages. So that's the only thing that I don't like about the map. But aside from, like, it's fine. The rest of it looks nice.
Yeah,
the loops are fine.
So we gonna slide it into A tier and move on, or are you thinking more B?
No, I think that's fine. I like family residence. When I did my Into the Smoke community tournament, I always have family residence in the rotation because I think it's a really balanced map. So
I'm happy for it to be on A tier.
Great.
Oh, wow. And I want to say it was very controversial and brave of you to both say that you understand that the killer perspective is he's out the uphill.
Me and John are good people.
Huge
We're very
US
empathetic for the killer plight.
Well, no, because it's like when you play as survivor, most of the time when you get the map, you're just like, oh, cool, yeah, sure, I like this. And when you're as killer, it's like every other map, you're just like, oh, this map. No.
You very rarely go, yay! It's only when I get Midwich, I'm like, yes.
Right. Do we want to put it at low A or mid A, or
I would say
care?
low A because I'd probably fight for it to be in high B if not. But
yeah, I agree. I like Dead Dog and Disturb Ward more than Family Res.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
I guess splitting hairs on
yeah.
Crotus, Disturb Ward, but either way.
Father Campbell's Chapel. Speaking of Crotus Pren, this is the other Crotus Pren Asylum map. This one came out with the clown, I believe. Yes. And it's very similar to Disturbed Ward in that it has like it's the same realm, obviously, and it has the main building in the center of the map. Now, this chapel is less strong, I would say, than the Disturbed Ward is, but it does have a couple windows that can be very strong on the first floor, but there's also breakable walls generally next to those. Can be a pretty strong basement there, depending on what's around as well. And it has a gen on the second floor that's always next to either a vault or a place where you can drop down, and then stairs on either side. So Father Campbell's Chapel, I would say, is like a middling main building. I don't think it's like super strong, but I don't think it's like super weak either, because you can take the killer on a nice long chase on it if you want as survivor. But I also don't find myself as killer like avoiding the main building on this one. Maybe you have different experiences, but I would say that this is kind of middling for me. I'm not like crazy about it, but
I think it's a pretty fair map, but I also think it's a pretty boring map. Like, there's nothing exciting about it. The main building's kind of basic.
Sorry, I just forgot the circus. The circus.
Yeah,
is
the
like
circus is boring to you, Gary? What
Yes,
excites you if a circus is boring, Gary?
The circus is boring.
The circus is boring.
It's just like the loops there are dull. There's just nothing interesting to do at the circus.
No.
The gens are just kind of there. It's a horrible place to get 3-gen as well. That is a particularly nasty.
You want to let you throw some balls at some milk bottles, or what do you want them to let
The
you
only
do
interesting
at the
thing in the
circus,
circus is how survivors can stand at the little holes. But aside
little
from that, like,
holes,
Maurice is gone. I know everyone's upset about that.
Yeah,
but like,
Gary's just upset Maurice got taken out.
But there's just like, I don't know. It's just like the circus is boring. The main building's fine. The northern part with the Killer Shack is fine. Like, it's a very fine map. I just don't find it very exciting to play on.
I love this map. I think it is one of the more killer-sided maps in the game most of the time.
It's quite small.
It's small. It's pretty easy to patrol gens. Most areas of unless there's like an insane jungle gym into shack tile that sometimes spawns, there really aren't a lot of tiles that can waste a lot of time. I will say the main building on this map might be the most RNG dependent tile in the whole game in terms of like main building can go from like completely unsafe to completely safe.
If you don't get a vault on that upper that second floor, you do not be a survivor in that situation.
Sometimes downstairs will spawn with all windows and like a breakable wall at the stairs, and you're like, cool, so I just can't chase here now because they're just gonna vault windows forever,
right?
And there's nothing I can do, right? So yeah, it has like, and again, we saw during the Rogue Energy tournament, we saw a match that a Huntress was able to end at 5 gens because the main building was like super unsafe for survivor. It had like one window and all breakable walls. And then the Huntress was just able to get like a down and a hook in the basement, and then like they couldn't do anything to save them. They were like, they was just completely unsafe to go in and try and save. So, my subjective perspective is one of the best maps in the game because I enjoy it personally, but I definitely will agree that it's not an S tier map. And I wouldn't,
because I kind of want to put it in C tier.
I would argue I would argue for B tier. Because
I think all the things you just listed about how like RNG heavy that main building can be is a problem, because it can feel so deflating for
You're
one
a problem,
side.
blonde guy. No, no.
What's blonde
I'm just
man's
the blonde.
problem?
I'm just the blonde.
What's the blonde's
Blonde.
problem?
Yeah.
What's the blonde's deal?
I don't know. I do strongly disagree with you on it being a boring map. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, basically every map in the game has an RNG problem if you really get down.
Yeah. But this
go back
one's
to
like
Coal Tower was
when it's the
S tier,
main
and-
when it's the main building and it's the only what I think is the only interesting place to loop on the map. I don't know.
I don't like C
It is-
tier though.
From a survivor perspective, like that, I completely forgot about the circus just because you can't really. Like the circus isn't where you loop the killer. The circus is where you get caught out working on a gen. You go, oh fuck, and then you.
They got the trailer with the vault and there's a pallet. That's a really good tile. That's a really
Shut
good
up,
tile.
dog.
If you're good at the game, I'm sorry, but that's a really good tile if you're good at the game. Real. Like a strong survivor can run that tile well, especially if there's like good connecting tiles next to it. Like I'm serious. You guys think I'm joking, but that can be a really strong tile. No. I'm not joking. Please take me seriously. It's important to me, Kappa. I will. Oh God, I will let myself.
John,
be on
where would you
record-
put it?
Okay,
I would put
He's
it in
gonna-
low B. That's me.
and I will not throw a tantrum if we go C, but I don't want it in C. I like it in low B. I don't even. Mind it
I
being
would
the
I would
bottom
put
of
it
B.
in a high C because I had to drop Eyrie of Crows so dramatically.
Wow, he's already using the Eyrie card, bro. Already cashing it in, dude.
I don't like
out.
this map. I don't
On
like
Father
it.
Campbell's Chapel.
Yeah,
You
well,
guys
no,
have
that's-
given. You
I
guys have
just
given me
like-
a lot.
Yeah, like I just really don't want to see it too high up because I really don't like this map that much. Like, whenever
It
I get
has
it's
to be
like
top.
I get like a bit of a groan in my brain, like oh, it's this one. Like I'd much rather like the Asylum's so good, and then
You
this
hate
one's
the
so.
circus, though. You just
Yeah,
hate
circus
the circus.
sucks.
So
Circus is
you
boring.
hate the fun. You hate fun, but that's fine. Top of C is
fine.
the best I'll do.
Okay.
Has to stay at the top though. Nothing goes over it in C tier.
It's
'cause
the king of
basically B
C tier permanently.
Come-
That
This
way
is
I
the
can- I
this
can-
is the one you're
I can-
choosing as king of C tier.
I can huff the
Without
copium
looking for
that
the
it's
other
basically
maps.
B tier at this point.
Well, it's either
okay?
that or the jester of B tier at the bottom.
I
The
mean,
peasant.
John, we do have control here. We can vote. We have voting control. We can make
That's
it B
true.
tier.
We can make it low B tier.
I don't mind it if you want to put it in B tier. Like I don't mind, but because it's
Why is Gary so agreeable? Makes me feel bad
This
about
it's
being
because
mean,
it's
dude.
because he's saving up. He's saving up to.
like I
To
don't like
blow
this
us
map.
away.
I just think it's boring. But if you guys think it's so exciting, it can go in B tier.
B tier is not so.
The circus is so
exciting.
much
I know.
fun.
What? Can we take the attitude down? Somebody else is becoming
Seriously.
a problem here. Wow, why are you so stuck up?
Shut up, Hat Man.
You got your wavy hair and your beach hair.
We're gonna get done with Spine Chill, and Gary's just gonna like walk over to his wall, and he's gonna kick it. He's gonna be like, "Damn it! Campbell's a B tier.
Father Campbell's a B. My name's on that forever, man.
No,
So did we settle
B.
on low B?
No, I'll stick it in low B. The Jester of B tier. I like that title.
That makes me feel better too. So
That makes me. You know what? I'm happy with this.
It's
yeah.
the clown of B tier.
Oh, I get
There
it
you
because of
go.
the map in the clown.
Ooh, Fractured Cowshed. This is our first Coldland Farm map. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Sorry,
Yep.
I just almost
Yep.
threw up. My bad.
So Fractured Cowshed, the first of our Coldwind Farm realm maps. This one is marked by a very distinctive big red barn, the Fractured Cowshed, which always is in one corner of the map. Killer Shack is in the opposite corner. And in between, there's lots of corn. There's a cow tree loop, usually right in between, actually, right
Yeah,
in the
it's
center
usually
of
right
the
in the
map.
middle. Yeah.
And in the opposite corner, or like in the corner between the Cowshed and the Killer Shack, there's a lot of like hay bales, usually like one or two gens that nobody wants to do. There's a couple tiles here and there. It's pretty standard other than that. It's really just like Cowshed, Cow Tree, Killer Shack are the main landmarks. Cowshed, notorious for being a very strong survivor loop, very strong vaults. You can break a wall on one side to make one of them weaker, which, I mean, you have to do. You have to do that.
There's
The
two
one by the
breakable doors
lockers.
on that. On
There's
Cowshed,
two?
right? Yeah, is there two doors on that map?
There's the
There's
one by the
there's one by the
lockers.
window, and then there's another one.
like,
Yeah.
They're like that. They're
Yeah.
like, there's one next to the window and one on the opposite side.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of this map personally. I'm not really a fan of like most Coldwind maps. Like I think they're okay, but this is probably my least favorite Coldwind map. I hate playing on the Cowshed as killer. Unless I'm like Ghostface and I can catch them on the gen around the hay bales, that's kind of fun. But that like never happens. Then I'm playing a D tier killer, as we've established in our killer tier list. So, I honestly don't have like a super strong opinion on Fractured Cowshed though. So if one of you has a strong one,
there's a reason why this map is used for the 1v1s when they're like trying to see. This is super safe. Like you can run forever on this map, and it really comes down to like a killer playing exceptionally if they can even get somebody down. And again, this I'm gonna keep on going back to this but like it was way worse before they reworked it. Like this was one of the worst maps they've ever had was old Cowshed. Like just insane.
I think it had the highest survival rate in one of their chapter.
I wish I remembered the old versions
dumps.
better. I think it was when I first started like playing that they were kind of swapped out not long after.
Well, you didn't suffer through this map when there was twice the pallets on the map, and it was just insane. It was a gross map. Now, still a gross map, still one of the worst in the game in my opinion. And I'm surprised that because you would expect if you're doing a podcast with a couple of Survivor mates to be like, oh, great map, perfect, it's great, and I love it. And, I'm sure you do love 5-gen chases, but for the objective mind, I just think it's a D tier map. It's not really fun to play as Survivor. It's super killer sided or super Survivor sided.
Yeah.
Main building is.
I would put it in C tier. Because like I like the Cowshed, not because of the loop, because I quite like that gen in there. Like I like having to look for the idea there's a stealth killer. I find that quite exciting, having to keep an eye on so many doorways.
You do have poor vision on the gen, yeah.
Yeah, I do, and I kind of like the aesthetics of the Coldwind farms. Like that's gonna, I know, like.
No, I don't disagree.
I like the aesthetics, yeah.
I quite like some of the loops near the Killer Shack. Like Killer Shack's quite a fun loop on this map from both sides, I think. Cowshed's the miserable side. Fun, yeah. I don't know if because like we have to remember it is fun as a survivor to play these maps too. Like I know there's the killer perspective, but it's also like sometimes they can be quite fun as survivor. So I wouldn't go as like one of the worst maps in the world because survivors aren't like opening this map and going, oh DC, I don't want to play this map, and killers like I don't want to play it either. Like, so I don't think it's one of the better maps, but I don't think it's fair to say it's one of the worst.
It's too unfair for it to be anything but a D map. It's just a bad map. It's if you play against a competent team, you cannot win as like any killer but Nurse on this map. Maybe Blight, Nurse and Blight.
Yeah, but I don't give a shit about comp team. I care about like solo queue experience for the most part, and I think it's quite a fun map from both sides. When I go,
I mean,
if you see every map as a comp map, then they're all survivor sided.
Well, they are, and that's why, that's what I'm saying. I'm giving you guys that in saying some of these maps are A and S tier, and I'm telling you this map is like a problematic map. It's like they use this map for 1v1 specifically because you can, like, there's just so many tools to use. It's like the whole map is safe, essentially. Again, I'm going to give you guys a decent rating on one of these Coldwind maps. There's one Coldwind map that's actually pretty fun, pretty good, I think, overall. But
I've been just which one you like, because I like one in particular as well.
I wonder if it's the same one.
It's probably the same one as you guys, because it's actually not bullshit. Poggers. But yeah, this map is actually bullshit. So to me, this is the worst of the Coldwind maps, which are not great maps. So yeah, I'm gonna argue strongly for D tier.
I'd put low C, but John, you can be the decider.
Oh my god.
So much pressure. Friendships are on the line.
If we put it in D tier, we have to put it under Eyrie.
Do we though? Do we though, Gary?
Do we? Or can we put it ahead of? Can we put it ahead of Eyrie?
I mean, I'd rather be on
this.
Eyrie
This feels really cool to Eyrie. Like Erie's not as bad as it's been put.
I would rather be on Eyrie than Fractured Cowshed, honestly, on both sides.
Well, me too. I like Eyrie of Crows a lot. So
okay, we can put it below Eyrie. Yeah. That sounds good.
Cool.
Gary's gonna cash in any moment now.
Gary's gonna make us put Garden of Joy in S tier later, right? Like, he's like, you guys did this to yourselves.
I think it's S tier. I'm not fudging.
I'm using my card.
I'm not fudging.
Oh my god, Garden of Joy is the next one.
Well, let's move it straight up to S, shall we?
Take it away, Gary.
Take it away.
I will say visually, I really like the idea of this map. I won't say its implementation because the main building's so pissing dark most of the time that it's really hard to enjoy it.
Right.
I think this map is a really nice idea, but it's implemented really badly. I think it's the most survivor-sided map. I think the windows in main building are mostly bullshit. I think the loops that are around it are mostly bullshit. I think the stuff around Killer Shack is bullshit. I think all the small things in between everything is bullshit. I think the gen placements are pretty hard for killers to keep on top of. It's quite a big map.
Yeah.
But I like how it looks visually.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's kind of the, from a killer perspective, don't like the map. I will say it's quite fun as Survivor, but as we've kind of established, who gives a shit, right?
Yeah, well, I would argue, I would agree with you. I would agree with everything you said, and also argue that is it really even fun as Survivor? Like, is there anything that really feels fun when you're playing Survivor here? Like the main building loop is just kind of gross and unfun. It reminds me a lot of the Badham loop, right?
No,
like
I don't like it as Survivor. Every time I play Survivor
Yeah.
and I get this map, I groan. I visually go. I always go, "Oh, great, we're on Garden of Misery." Poor
Yeah,
killer.
and it's formulaic, right? As Survivor, you know exactly what you're going to do in every chase. You're just going to go here until he uses that, then you're going to go here until he uses that, and it's just paint by numbers shit while
So,
all
like,
the gens are popping.
I would
so
personally, as of right now, put it as our worst map on the list so far. But
Even under Springwood.
See, I think Springwood's worse. Honestly, there's no House of Pain on Garden of Joy. At least
True.
you have to ignore Maine, but at least there's no House.
There
of
is at least
Pain.
one variant of Badham that's like bearable. There's never a version of Garden of Misery that is bearable. You get the same map every time, and it always sucks.
Well, I can promise you, I'm not going to sit here and split hairs with you over where we're going to put that in Garden of Joy as the two bottom maps in the game. So it's up to Gary at this point.
Do you want to put it under Springwood, Gary?
Mhm.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Because I don't really have anything else to add. I agree. I like the aesthetic, but yeah, that main building loop.
And
I never feel good.
Someone pay the electricity bill, please.
I never feel good vaulting that window by the dinner table, but I do it every game.
Have either of you played the map since the last patch? Because I was told that
there's a horrible bush next to Killer Shack, which is making that loop miserable.
Well, they brightened up the main building though.
Oh, did
I
they?
was told.
Really?
I was told maybe we'll check it after the
Wow.
podcast. Maybe I'll go in and check it because
Yeah, I wouldn't be against doing that. We'll do that after the podcast.
Yeah,
It's not going
I'd
to
like to see
get
it.
D tier though.
No, it's not going to
God,
change
no.
a goddamn
They're not
thing.
gonna
But,
change
at least, but I do agree with you guys that the aesthetic is awesome. I love the way it looks. I wish it was a good map because
I wish it was a little less busy
in.
in places as well. There's sometimes
There's
it's
so
a bit
much
too much junk,
There's so much junk.
which
It's like the
is-
new map philosophy is putting junk everywhere. Yeah,
which we'll get to that in a bit.
that's right. Will we? Is Shadow Square on here? I hope it is. Oh, it's not. But we can add it. We can add it.
Yeah, because I want to talk about that map.
Guess. So this is an Auto Haven Wreckers map. Our third of the evening. Gas Heaven is marked by a big old gas station. There's always a generator in the garage. When you complete the generator, it opens the garage door. And around the gas station are a bunch of junk tiles with pallets. And then there's two big stacks of cars that you can't see over or through as killer. There's a killer shack on the opposite side of the gas station. And then there's just pretty normal tiles, you know, your usual jungle gyms and LT walls and shit.
Yeah.
So I will say, pre-rework, this might have been my least favorite map in the game.
I actually remember this one pre-update, so
Yeah,
rework, sorry.
The rework is better. I remember playing Killer on this and being like, am I crazy or is this like the most survivor-sided map in the game? It just felt so horrible every time I was on it, and I knew that it was like, well, yeah, Springwood and Haddonfield, but I just always had bad luck on this map. So I still, even though the rework is better, I'm having trouble shaking that. I hate also as Survivor playing on this map, and you're in the corner. You're in that corner where there's just a dead zone on either side every time.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I hate that area of the map. That's like, if it wasn't for that area of the map, I might like it. I might like it more. I might like even move it up like a tier higher than I would have it. But as of right now, I would put this thing C tier. I still don't like it. I think a lot of that is trauma. But
I think I would join you in that because like I don't really enjoy it as Killer because it's just not a great map for Killer. And then when I play Survivor, I don't enjoy it either. Like I quite like the gas station's fun. I do like that.
It's not a bad
especially
main building.
when you finish that generator and the door opens. I just love that. There's something about that makes me happy.
It is cool.
And it's aesthetically, I like the sign, and it feels nice. But yeah, like I just don't really enjoy it from either side. Like it just.
I'm with you. I think we're all in agreement on C tier. Like I love the gas station aesthetically. I think the gas station, that's what keeps it out of D tier for me. It's massive. It's a massive map. It does have a lot. But again, it's another one of those RNG maps. You talk about that center area. That center area can literally be 5 gens worth of tiles or like nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Like it can just be nothing.
Yes.
Just a complete dead zone.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're a survivor, it's like you're flipping the coin on whether or not this is going to be an easy 4-out or a 4K because there's nothing there. For some reason, I always feel like the basements on this map too are like always really easy to protect. So like,
if it's in the gas station, you're just
dead. You're just dead, right? Yeah.
That's a very
and it does
strong
feel
basement.
like, and it feels like it spawns in the main building way more than it does in Shack to me. I don't know if that could just be confirmation bias, but that's what it feels like to me.
No,
so it's giant. It has a lot of RNG style dead zone possibilities. There's the car walls, which are super unfun to play. Like it sucks, but it's not like the worst. It's kind of like meh.
I hate the tall car walls too. Like
they're ugly.
Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway. Gas.
So let's put it in C tier and move on. We don't.
Yeah. Sounds good. We don't have to sit here and Grim Pantry. Grim Pantry is the first of the swamp maps.
You know it's gonna be good when you open with Go on.
I just thought I went from to professional John. Grim Pantry is. It's a documentary.
Pantry is the first of the swamp maps. The main location is a very large wooden structure, 2-floored. You can go up either by ramps on the outside or there's even a staircase on the inside. The lower half is a complete maze. There's usually a pallet or 2, vault or 2, and then the top has a very strong loop with 2 vaults that you can chain over and over again. The Grim Pantry also has a second unique building that you can go to the second floor of. It's another 2-floor building. With 1 pallet on the bottom and then a vault on the top, and there's a pallet on the top too.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a gen there, but sometimes most of the time there's not. There's also Killer Shack, which they kind of make a triangle on the map the way that the buildings are set up. And there's also, I forgot, the docks.
Is it like a dock
or whatever they're called? I always call them the docks. Where there's usually at least 1 gen, sometimes 2, and that thing is kind of a maze underneath too. Other than that, there's a couple of locations where there's always a totem.
Yes, there's 2
rocks.
2 by the rocks.
Two constant spawn totems, right?
Which I think is weird. Another thing that's weird about the swamp map, and I don't know why they have it like this, is that Hatch can spawn literally anywhere. It can spawn along the walls on the outside, which I hate. I mean, I get that at that point it's just a coin flip whether you or the other player finds it first, but it just makes the search longer and it kind of rewards luck more than anything. In addition, sometimes on this map there's a generator literally in the exact corner of the map, which is insane to me. I don't know why they have it like this.
I think they all have that kind of scenario. The swamp maps, there can be
both of them.
It can just be a corner map or a corner gen.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh my god, like it kind of ruins the gen spread. And also, there is a very, very strong loop. The Pog log, I believe, is what some people call it. And it is one of the most underplayed, really strong loops in the game. Like, I'm amazed every time I play Killer and I find a survivor in the area and they don't play that log. I'm like, what are you doing? Play the log, dude. It's ridiculous. It's one of the longest vaults in the game. Yeah. So I'm a swamp hater. But you guys, let me know what you think.
All right, I have strong opinions. You want to go first, though, Gary? You look excited.
I'll be short because I disagree with John for the most part. I hate these maps. I hate both the swamp maps. I think they suck. I think they're very survivor-sided and miserable with some annoying loops. I hate the Grim Pantry. I hate it as Killer. I hate it. So I don't like that certain killers get completely screwed by the way the map is all over the place. Like, I wouldn't want to play Twins on it. I wouldn't want to play Pyramid Head on it. Like,
right.
It's just ugly map as well, and I don't like the way the hatch. I just agree with everything John said, and I would quite happily stick it in D tier.
Yeah, map sucks, but I would strongly disagree with you that it's. You said it was survivor sided.
I think there's good.
Bro, here's the problem. Here's the problem with this map, right? You've got these insane tiles that exist, like the Pog log. Sometimes the docks is really good with RNG. Main building is almost really good, which is crazy. I spawned in the other day. Main building didn't have a gen.
Oh, I will agree with you. Actually, I will agree. Like the gen placement is.
I didn't know that was possible, right, John? I didn't know it was possible. I thought that was a static gen, but it wasn't.
I thought so too. Whoa.
It's not. So it's possible for the main building not to spawn a gen, but main building can be very strong again, depending on pallets and what the maze downstairs looks like. Docks can be really strong depending on RNG. Shack can be really strong, but here's the problem with this map: is that all those things are like 2 miles apart. So it's like you have nothing to work with in between it. Like if you break like 1 or 2 pallets on there, everything's a dead zone. I was playing the other day as killer, and I was dunking on this team that was a good team. And my chat was like, "Oh my god, running back, you're amazing!" And I was like, "You guys have no idea how much RNG has helped me in this game. Like this game, because main building didn't have a gen, so like there was really no reason for me to go there, and everything was dead in the middle in the dead zone. There was nothing connecting the LT wall to the shack." There was no pallet that spawns there. You know, the pallet spawns on the actual log there too. There's no pallet there. I'm like, they have literally nothing to work with. I'm holding W and knocking them to the ground every time I see something.
See, I found that like, although there's dead zones in between, you can use those loops so significantly well. Because like, I like the map as a survivor. Like when I'm in those loops, I quite enjoy it because I can get a lot of use out of them. It's too much. Especially that Grim Pantry, you start running up the stairs and use that long loop up there. You have that window if you go from the right direction. Yeah, smart. Like too many killers are silly and don't change the direction of that loop to make it more beneficial to them. And then there's that double window vault, which is bullshit as well. And then you just go back down into the maze. Like I think sometimes the gen placement can be quite cruel to survivors. But then that's a miserable map for another reason, because it means you're just stuck in this like perpetual 3-gen scenario where it's like the killer's gonna lose eventually, but they're just making it take forever. It's like, who's gonna get fatigued first? I just hate it.
I think there's a ton of dead zones. I think it's one of the easiest 3-gen maps in the game for killer. I think it's ugly. I think that it has weird, like you said, you can hold the game hostage as a survivor because you just hide on the outskirts and like I'll never find you because
that's why I've been held hostage twice on that map.
Yeah, can we just put it in D tier? Can we just put it in D tier?
Yeah, can we just put it in D tier?
Where though do we put it? Like
Badham?
To me, it's like the king of D tier. I don't hate the map because, of course, I'm a killer main. I'm going to win on this map like 90% of the time because, again,
that's not a good argument for it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, but I'm like, that's why I'm saying I like the map because it's easy. So it's not.
I will accept it there.
You want to put it ahead of Eyrie?
No. Of course I don't.
Can it be Prince of D tier?
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And one of the rare maps I think sucks because it's so killer sided. Like it's just not. Yeah. It's not. But it's got annoying. It's like it's killer sided, but it's got annoying tiles to chase.
Yeah,
so
that's
like,
what I mean.
Killer,
like the
I'm
main,
gonna win and I'm
loops
gonna have a bad time.
Strong for survivors. Those are, but you know, you're right. The map generally. I mean, I went against a plague that was just able to vomit on like 3 gens at all times.
Every gen, right?
And I was just
it's all 5 with one puke.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is taking forever.
And the map is, how is the map so big and you can still get puke on all your gens?
Yeah.
Like this is.
And we won, but it just took forever.
Yeah.
Groaning Storehouse. Sorry, we do have to. We've been going a little slow on these. We got to kind of move. So I'm gonna talk a little bit less. Groaning Storehouse. So this is a Macmillan estate map. It's marked by a very large, big building, the Groaning Storehouse, in the middle of the map. And then there's just usual tiles, you know, map riffraff. I think the main building can be pretty strong. It's got 2 vaults on it that can be good. One of them has a breakable wall next to it. Thank God, because if it didn't, that would be like an infinite. There's usually a gen in the main building. I think there's always a gen, actually.
Not always inside it. Sometimes it's outside it, but next to a hill.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion on this map. It's Macmillan. I like Macmillan maps. It's not my favorite Macmillan, but it's fine. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. It's just, to me, we're going to talk about it a lot. It's meh. It's a bigger map. Bigger map. Main building is can be annoying, but it's got a very formulaic way to break the wall. You know,
I find it kind of boring,
get the down.
but It's fine. If I get a killer or survivor, I don't really care. I feel nothing.
It's not super easy to 3-gen, but it's not impossible to. It's just a map in the game. Like it's just, there are some free gens that the killer should never worry about. It just comes down to like where the last 5 gens are at. So
yeah, I mean it's just
B tier.
B. It's
low
B.
B.
It's I think low B.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. Right, well,
yeah.
That was maybe our easiest one yet.
Yeah.
Ugh, Ironworks of Misery. Okay. So, can I just say, free rework, I would put this here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's got to be bottom 3. Free rework, bottom 3. That window. Horrible. So, I'll tell a funny story. So, I've been streaming this game for a lot of years, and, you know, I've been playing on these maps in front
How many hours do you
for a
have?
long time. Shut up, blonde. All right, let me talk. I have 11,700 hours, thank you. No, the Ironworks window was for a long time part of my literal stream brand, how much I hated it. I would rage about it. And one of the devs, the day that they were going to announce the rework, just DM me a picture of the window rework and was like, with a little thumbs up emoji. And I was like, finally I'm free. So yeah, it's better now. But still, I think that Ironworks is kind of the same thing as Groaning Storehouse. Like it's just vanilla. It's a map.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw like if we're gonna put Eyrie of Crows so low down, partially because of the way you can boon the main building, we have to punish Ironworks a little bit because of the same problem.
Right.
Because if you boon in that main building,
on the
it's
second
a pain
floor,
in the ass.
I would argue that main building's not nearly as safe as the main building in Eyrie though. So like going up there is a risk once the breakable wall is down upstairs.
Oh no, I just mean like when you're playing killer and you just know there's a boon and it's in that main building, you have to just accept it.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
and there's two totem spawns up there, so it's miserable. I really hate that. So for me, I would drop it into C
tier.
I can knock it to C. I don't mind.
I don't love it. I don't love it, so I'm fine with C tier as long as it's higher than Azarov.
I just don't like the boon situation on that map. When I play killer, it's particularly annoying.
I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, that's a good point. I do find that, like, can I just say also that that window on the first floor that was so bad. Once they added the hole or the breakable wall or whatever it is to it, it's usually just a hole now. It's like a nothing vault. It's like a free hit vault now.
Yeah. It's completely unsafe now, right? Like you can't even really. You might as well just run through the fucking wall. The wall, because like you get nothing out of vaulting that now unless you have Lathe.
It's a little over nerfed, but I don't care. Like it's anything's better than what it was.
I think it's fine. Yeah, I think
because the rest of the map is okay. You don't need that window. There's usually pretty good.
It's mostly a balanced map, I'd say.
Yeah, overall. But you're not wrong, Gary. I'll give you that. The boon upstairs can be really annoying.
The new Haddonfield. So, free rework. I think a lot of people would have Haddonfield and somewhere in D tier, but the rework happened not too long ago and completely changed the map. Now there's fewer buildings, a lot more unsafe space, although they did make the main building much stronger as a result.
Yeah.
This has the new House of Pain on it, which is much wider than the one that's on Springwood. Yeah, it's not quite as bad. Not nearly. I don't really even have that many chases on House of Pain. Most of the time they run through the ground floor, they throw that pallet and then they're off. And they don't usually like loop there at all.
Yeah, and that pallet you just walk around.
Yeah. Most of the time it's been replaced, I think, with the main building vault, which can be just a whole W situation a lot of the times because it's a very long wall on that side of the house. I would put this in C personally.
Very bottom of C is as low as or is as high as I'll go. Because I
kind of want to put it in D.
Yeah, same.
I'm fine with putting it in D
because I find it to be such a boring map as well. Like that gen that spawns outside of the main building.
Yes, yeah.
And then there's one in the. It's like it's just so boring.
I know the two gens there, within like 10 feet of each other.
And then the basement's right there as well.
It has the same problem as Grim Pantry. It's got like isolated, really strong tiles, and then like nothing in between it. So you break the two pallets out Main Street, and then like they have nowhere to go.
The main thing that I can't forgive it for.
Houses.
Have you seen that doors can spawn on each side of the road?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can just stand in the middle.
Yeah.
They actually spawn like that. They're actually, the doors are some of the worst doors in the game because killer you can almost always cover both doors based on where they spawn.
The exit doors are awful. That's true. Do we want to put it? Where do we want to put it?
I mean, I'd say I like Grim Pantry a little more than Lampkin Lane. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree. Actually, I'm happy.
I'm putting it there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
D tier is such. It's just our battleground every time.
Always. No one's having fun on that map, survivors or killers. Like if you're looping effectively, you're bored out of your mind. And
true.
If you try to leave, but it's like, what are you supposed to do? Do you leave that and then just die immediately because there's nothing to use? Like it's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I hate looping on that map because, like you said, other than that one loop, there's really nothing. It's like go around the hedge bushes, the hedge bush pallets, like. I don't know. Or those horrible shed pallets. Anyway, Midwich Elementary School. This came out with Pyramid Head and Cheryl for DBD's 4th anniversary. And it's actually like legit aesthetically and everything. Very cool map. There's some fun Easter eggs. You go into the bathroom, there's like a girl crying. You go into the locker room, a body falls out of the locker. Like they really put a lot of Easter eggs into this map. If you do 2 of the generators, it opens up the clock tower and there's a chest in there. Very neat. Like honestly, like you can tell that they put a lot of love into this map, and I can't really say that for all of them. It is a extremely small map. In terms of like how much surface area there is to walk around on. And there's 2 floors, but on both floors there's 4 long, straight line of sight hallways. And there's not really any strong vaults except for the one like by the front desk area where you can just break the wall as killer. Other than that, I mean, like if the survivors run out of pallets here, they are screwed. With that said, I still really like the map.
I will say the pallets that are in the game or on their level are strong. Like you can get a lot of use out of those pallets. The loops are like there's like I guess 8 because you've got the 4 classrooms on each side, like on the top and bottom floor. Mm-hmm. One's missing a pallet usually. But I know it's a very killer sided map, and as someone who plays a mostly survivor, I still love this map. I would put it in A tier.
I agree. I think it's one of the better maps in the game. I would also argue A tier. Again, I would say it is like slightly killer sided. I would argue with you, John, that there are strong windows though, because if you have like some of those room windows connecting a safe pallet, window safe pallet, you can really waste a lot of time there going from, if you don't throw the pallet right away.
Oh, if you chain them together. Yeah, that's true.
You can chain them back and forth between that window. I love using those windows when I'm playing Survivor on that map. And again, it's like one of those kind of give and take things where, the map is smaller. Hook placements on this for killer can be
about to bring that up.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that's like the main negative I would say.
Because that got changed recently, didn't it? That's why it's bad.
It's still...
Because like it used to be better, I'm sure. Because I used to like Midwich as killer, and I've got it the other day, and I was like, where are the hooks? Where are they?
Sometimes you can down somebody on the side of the map, and you look around, and you're like, there's no hooks over here.
Yeah.
They wiggle out. Is that hook still bugged? They fixed that, right?
They fixed the bug.
That's been fixed.
So. But yeah, I would argue that like it's one of the more balanced maps in the game, and again, RNG will tell you whether it's survivor or killer sided. But for the most part, I think it's a pretty agreeable map. Somebody brings a Midwich or brings an offering for Midwich, and I'm like, as killer, I'm like, all right, I can do that. That's a good map.
Oh yeah, sure. I like it as killer because I think it is a little killer sided, just because it's smaller.
Putting it in A. Do you think?
No, we're in A tier though. I like it better than everything but Dead Dog in our A tier so far. So.
I kind of like that too, right there, but
I can accept it.
Gray disagrees.
always the victim. I can accept it.
I disturbed Ward, but it's fine.
I don't know why you like Disturbed Ward so much. Mother's Dwelling. Mother's Dwelling. Fun fact about Mother's Dwelling, I believe, largest map in the game. Is that still true, even with RP? Sure. I think with the RPD rework, it is.
Yeah.
It sure feels like it.
Yeah. So Mother's Dwelling is the flagship Red Forest map. It has a very large main building, the Mother's Dwelling, and other than that, it's got a lot of trees. It's got that 2-floor building with the fire pit in the middle. and the vault on the second floor. It's basically the second floor is just a vault, pretty much. There's like a walkway. Yeah, so I hate playing this map as killer. It's just too big. It's too hard to patrol. The main building can be a nightmare depending on window placement. It's got some of the potentially some of the strongest windows in the game if they're not boarded up. Sometimes I play and both windows are boarded up, which is great. And then sometimes I play and I have had this happen. I couldn't believe it. Both windows were open. I was like, that's literally like you can't go down.
You can't chase that, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that there was like a safeguard in place before that didn't allow that to happen, but I guess it can still happen. It might have been a bug.
I had a match with that once, and the survivor that had clocked it and was using it against me. As soon as I got them on hook, I was like, "You die. You have to die because
you have to die." Right?
You're the one. You're the only one smart enough to realize how screwed I am. So you're dying.
Yeah.
Personal.
Yeah, I don't like Mother's Dwelling just because of that. I also don't really like playing on it as Survivor because a lot of times my games on this map as Survivor, I just kind of do a gen and leave because the map's just so big. Sometimes you don't really even run into the killer as Survivor.
Yeah,
and,
I think nobody's having fun on this map. It's just big and ugly and boring, and
yeah,
I would say probably like maybe the bottom of C tier.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I'm fine with
that. I thought you guys were gonna try and put it in D, and I was gonna defend it a little
No,
bit because I quite like it.
I don't think
because
I
I've
don't
played
think
it.
it's D tier.
You play it as
I think
pig or something. The size actually works to your favor because the survivors have got to travel the distance. So it does have its place. So yeah, I'd be happy in C tier. Anywhere in C, I'd be happy with it.
It's not like oppressively strong for survivors. It's just big and boring and unfun.
I think it's worse than Gas Heaven.
Yeah,
I
I think
agree.
that's fair.
I'd rather get Gas Heaven than Mother's Dwelling for sure.
I think what keeps Mother's Dwelling out of D for me is that like I look at my D tier here and I'm filled with hate. I hate all this. Mother's Dwelling though, I can't bring myself to hate it. I just don't like it. So
it just sucks. It doesn't. You don't hate it. It's
right. Yeah.
This sucks.
Exactly. Now, Ormond on the other hand.
Oh, do you hate Ormond? Is that what we're gonna? Is this happening?
I'll let.
This is going to be a discussion, I think, between.
I think so too. Yeah. Do we have
Gary,
time for this? Or?
Gary, how about you go ahead?
I like Ormond. I like
I know
it.
you do.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
He
from
liked
both
old
perspectives.
Ormond. Right, go ahead.
Ew.
I've always enjoyed Ormond. I think it's quite a balanced map for the most part, especially in its current iteration. I think survivors have to be quite clever with the way they do generators to not screw themselves over too hard. I quite like the main building for chases. There's like two pallets that you have to kind of deal with. There's some breakable doors as well. There's lots of like lockers and stuff to like play around with. I quite like the loops on the outside. There's a lot of empty space as well between the main building and the loops, which I quite like. So if they decide to use main building and then run out of it because they've run out of space from you, I think that's quite good. I quite like mind gaming that window as well by the stairs. Yeah, generally I just really enjoy the map. I think it's quite fair. So I personally, I'd probably chuck it in like, I think going A would be too high. I'd probably stick it in B somewhere.
Yeah,
I think I'd probably put it at the lower end of B myself because I enjoy it, but it can be quite a miserable match because it's quite a big map as well. So sometimes gens can just fly, and then you're like, oh, miserable. Especially like there's what's that construction thing out?
Yeah,
that loop I hate that.
The digger palette, that's a really strong tile. Yeah, I might surprise you with this, but I don't disagree. I would strongly argue against A tier, but I don't disagree, and I would be okay with B tier. It's of all of the survivor-sided maps, I think it's like the least concerning or gross. Like it can definitely feel survivor-sided, and then RNG can make it really survivor-sided depending on palette density and tile spawns. But like overall, it's like you said. I think main building is very big, but also very interesting. Like there's interesting things you can do there, cool. And I do think it requires it's like skill based to run main building well. Like I don't think you just run it on autopilot like a lot of the other main buildings. I think there's actually decisions you have to make. You know, and there's like a little bit of a back and forth that happens there. It's really big. I would love the map if they made it smaller, but I don't love it, so I just like it. But yeah, for as far as to me, I think it is a very survivor-sided map, but of the survivor-sided maps, I think it's my favorite. I like it.
Yeah,
actually,
I would say B tier is fine.
I think I'm fine with low B. Actually, where it is right now is fine with me.
I thought we were going to have a much bigger argument about this map.
Yeah, no.
I thought John,
No,
you
no,
might
no.
be fighting for D tier because I know you don't love this map.
The more bad maps they
Old-
introduce, the less bad it becomes, right?
Old Ormond, I would put in D tier. I do find tracking to be a problem with Killer on this map. I have trouble with that. I feel like the scratch marks might as well disappear. They're just hard to see.
I can understand that.
I do like playing on this map as Survivor, though. I like the snow. It's a cool aesthetic. And, like you said, Doug, I feel like when you loop the main building as Survivor, it's interesting. Like, there's options. You have a lot of options. One of my favorite things to do is to go to the vault on the second floor and just not vault it. And then I hear the killer, like, hop down to cut me off. And then it cracks me up every time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd say low B is fine.
Yeah,
Look at
bonus
us.
points, definitely
Look at us.
Bonus points for the aesthetics. I love the snow.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wish they would do a variant of Ormond.
Can we combine RPD into one? Because
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
we
that's
talked about
fine.
this map in like detail when they reworked it, right? So we don't have a lot to say, I would think.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
think
we-
so too.
Yeah, that's fine. I do prefer one side to the other.
For one of the most hated maps in the game. First of all, I liked it pre-rework. I thought it was fun. As Survivor, at least. As Killer,
for sure. It's
now that they've taken out the library, I feel like it's become much more manageable.
Yeah.
And I actually really, I find myself liking this map quite a bit, actually.
I think it sucks.
Me too. I liked it beforehand as well. Me and John are on the same page of we enjoyed that map, and now that the library's gone, like, not that we never really used the library when we played it anyway because
not really.
we weren't dickheads. But like, I generally just enjoy the map now. I have a lot of fun as both Survivor and Killer. Actually, I think I enjoy it more as Killer than I do Survivor.
I would argue that, like, I don't know why we're not seeing you guys give so many, like, why you're not saying a bunch of minus points for how easy it is to 3-gen on this map. That's the only thing that I think is problematic. Like,
I
will. Very
guys,
easy map for the killer to 3-gen on.
I will say what drives me crazy on this map as Survivor is seeing the randoms immediately go to the helicopter gen and finish it. I'm always like, what are you guys doing? Because I'm always going, I usually go to the gen on the outside on that side because there's like 2 pallets and nothing. And I'm like, we got to get this one out of the way because it's like, it's a little out of the way, but it's so dead. And then the gen by the helicopter pops because all 3 of them were digging through it on Prove Thyself. Drives me crazy. Yeah.
That's a fair point, Doug, that you've made.
And yeah, the map just kind of sucks overall for me. Like, it's fine. It's not that it sucks. It's not. I don't think it's strongly. I think there's like a mentality that it's super Survivor sided that I don't agree with. I think it's equally parts Survivor and Killer sided because if the Killer 3-gens, the game is over and you have lost. You just have to wait it out. But yeah, overall, it's just a fine map. I guess maybe not even sucks. It's just like vanilla to me. Like, I don't have an emotional response. I do like that it's aesthetically really cool. I love.
I was going to say the aesthetics I really like as well.
Yeah. I'm not gonna fight you guys on C tier, but I would probably put it C tier. But if you guys want to put it B tier, I'm totally fine with that. I don't hate it. I do like I like the variant with the helicopter better than the other variant. If that.
Oh yeah, West Wing versus S Wing or West Wing versus East Wing.
I think I'm happy to join in B because I would fight for low A because I just really like. It could be the Resident Evil. I love it's just the Resident Evil 2 map.
I will say this is a bad map, like a really, really bad map for some killers.
Yeah.
Like playing Huntress on this map. It's not her worst, but it's close. It is very not fun to play on.
Have you guys seen the clip of the Huntress getting the cross map through the little hole?
I had no idea that you could do that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Insane,
yeah, I had no idea. I knew that was even there. I've never looked up in that room.
Yeah, same. People are so amazing, man. To find.
I know. I had no idea you could throw through that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So we agree. Bottom of B tier.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, the bottom of B tier.
I knew, Gary. I was doing it to troll Gary.
Bottom of B tier. I don't like that.
I like it worse than every other map on B tier. I would put it bottom of B tier, but I'm not even going to argue because it's splitting hairs.
Can we at least put it above Ormond?
I'll accept that.
Okay.
I accept.
Sure. Yeah, but some killers like just are completely useless on this. Like Hillbilly. Imagine
Oh,
playing
yeah.
Hillbilly
Yeah.
on this. It's like,
I
come on.
had a Hillbilly DC when we allowed him.
Yeah.
He's like, sorry, not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
play-
I don't blame them
I
at
played
all.
Blight on it the other day, and I was like, yeah, you know what? They dragged me to this map. They can suffer.
Yeah. Real.
Rancid Abottoir, another Coldwind Farm map. This has like a little slaughterhouse as the main building. It's got a, once again, I feel like I say this every other map, got a strong vault with a long wall there. Or well, I mean, it's a long wall on one side. It's the type of vault that if you get it and the killer's a certain distance away, you can extend the chase by a lot.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's a cow tree, there's a killer shack, there's a bunch of corn, and a bunch of normal tiles. I don't think there's usually a hill on this one. No, there's usually not a hill on Rancid, right?
I've seen
Can
a
there
hill, but
be?
it's not an every game thing.
Yeah.
I'm really middle of the road on this. This is not my favorite Coldwind map. I don't
Book
think it's...
book at bottom C and move on. Or-
Yeah, thank you, Dawg. That's exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was like, can we put it in
Yeah,
low
just-
C, please? Because I don't like this one that much.
Yeah,
Can
Book
we
at
put
bottom
it-
C and move on.
Could we put it above Mother's Dwelling, though?
I don't care. They're both the same. They both suck.
If you really want to.
If it
They're
means
both-
that much to you.
Yeah.
We're gonna use this later, John.
Yeah. We'll give that to you if you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rotten Fields.
Can we put
So
this
Rotten
one?
Fields is one of the few maps. I believe there's only one other actually, and it's well, it's actually further down here. Where is it? It's one of those Auto Haven Wrecker's Yard that has Killer Shack as the main building in the center of the map.
Yep.
And around the Killer Shack, for some reason, there's like literally nothing. There's just corn. Sometimes there's a gen or two. Well, actually, there's usually a gen or two. Usually not more than that. And then on the very edge of the map, there's tiles. There's a harvester machine where you can go and die if you want. And then there's a couple of other tiles. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this map personally.
Can we put it?
I like it.
Oh, of course you do.
I like it.
It's such a boring map. There's nothing to connect to. It just exists.
Yeah.
I
don't
would
care
put,
where
I
you
would put it.
I
would
like
put
it
below
because
Eyrie of
I like
Crows.
it because if I go Coldwind and I play in Killer on this map, I know I can actually win. So I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the
is-
least survivor-sided Coldwind map. So.
See, that's what I've been saying. I hear people say all the time this is a survivor-sided map, and I don't get it.
I don't know how anyone could. It's like there's just the death tile in the middle, and everyone has to. There's gens that draw you close to it, and if you go down in it, you're going in Killer Shack, and the killer makes sense to patrol it.
Yeah.
When you
It's
play
an easy
solo
3-gen map.
and someone just uses the Killer Shack gen or a Killer Shack palette, the entire middle of the map, like 50% of the map, becomes just a giant dead zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is so. I would put this C tier at most.
Put it where you want.
I would
I'm
like
not
to put it
gonna
below
argue.
Eyrie of Crows. I just think there's just nothing special about it. It's just such an uninspiring
can't-
map to look at.
It
It's
can't
good
be
for Killer,
D-tier.
but I
It
say
can't
good.
be D tier.
There's nothing special about it.
But there's also nothing especially terrible about it, so you can't put it in. D tier is for.
I'm looking at it from
our-
like an aesthetic perspective as well. There's nothing interesting to look at. It's just they stuck
That
a
is
Killer
true.
Shack in the middle, and then they
Yeah.
put some bits around
is
it. and went,
boring.
That's a map. It's just
It's one of the first maps, right? So, like, it came out with the Hillbilly.
like put some fucking windmills or something in it. I don't know.
It's like it's like Coal Tower if Coal Tower was bad. I feel like it's just a
Yeah.
generic map, but
Yeah.
I don't like it in D tier. It's not that bad. I don't even like it below Rancid Abottoir.
Oh.
That's tough shit because it's definitely not going above it.
I don't know what that attitude's all about, but I don't know if I deserve that. Right? Hopefully somebody defends me in the comments, Gary, because I didn't deserve that attack.
The blonde seemed particularly snarky towards Hatman.
Whoa.
What's the blonde's deal?
Did he not get enough sleep? Yeah. Again, though, I already told
Well,
you.
I couldn't really give a shit. I just
I'm a man
don't.
of my word. I told you guys put it wherever you want. I won't argue. I don't
All right,
care.
then S tier it is. Ah.
Okay, so
Oh, I'll
bottom
take
D
S
tier?
tier. I win on that. I always win that map. What are you talking about? Yeah.
I don't know, John. I would happily put it below Eyrie of Crows, but I'm happy as long as it's lower end. I can
Could we
accept that.
put it bottom of C?
He doesn't want it below Eyrie because he hates Eyrie so much.
That's fine. I'll accept it. It's fine.
I do hate Rotten Fields. Don't get me wrong. I'm very surprised that we kind of agree on it being a killer-sided map. Because every time I hear Rotten Fields mentioned, people say it's a survivor-side map because it's big. But
whenever I realize it's Rotten Fields, I always
zones,
just groan.
It's just a dead zone in the middle. I just can't get over it. Anyway, all right.
It's only survivor-sided if you take bad chases, is my opinion. But yeah.
So Sanctum of Wrath, this is the second Yamaoka estate. And this one came out with the Oni. It's very similar to Family Residence in overall, feel, I guess. It's got a lot of the similar tiles, like the bamboo tile that Family Residence has. But it has a main building that's elevated high up. And it's not a 2-floor building. You can only go on the top of it. And sometimes there's a basement underneath. Sometimes it's a killer shack. And it has a bunch of these, you can kind of see them here if you're watching the video version, a bunch of these stone guys that will actually turn and look at you when you're not looking.
It's very cool.
Sanctum of Wrath, I like that. I mean, I like both Yamaoka estate maps, and I would say that I feel pretty similarly towards this as I do Family Residence.
I was going to say I would put it above it, just one above it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite maps in the game. Overall feels pretty fair, it's not boring. It's good to look at. I am super down with putting it in A tier, and one above Family Res is fine with me.
Yeah,
sure.
I like the statue thing's interesting. I also quite like that there's that middle gen in the middle, which becomes such a game of cat and mouse, like within the game, where survivors are going to poke at it to try and get that gen done, because it's like the best. It's the hardest. It's the best killer it's the best gen for the killer to defend because they use it as their vantage point to look around.
That's it. This is one of the few maps where it's really fun to play Myers on specifically because you can just go on that main building and you get free stock just anywhere you want. And Myers can use every win that he can get.
True.
Ooh, Shelter Woods. So this
Can I start?
Go ahead. Take it away, Doug.
Best map by far in the game. 100% S tier. Put it there now.
Okay.
It's incredible. Totally balanced. Totally fair. Yeah. No. There's a reason why I pick Shelter Woods whenever I'm playing in a tournament. I get to pick my map. It's like the most killer sided map in the game. There's 6 pallets. I think that there is a variant that spawns that actually only has 4 pallets on the entire map. That's not Kappa. Somebody was telling me that. Somebody that I trust was telling me that they spawned in and it had 4 total pallets on the map.
Right.
It's a gross map.
Shelter Woods is, I believe, the only map in the game. Well, no. It's not the only map in the game without a main building because Rotten Fields and Wrecker's Yard don't have a main building either. But it doesn't have Killer Shack in the middle. Instead, it has a useless tree with nothing around it except maybe a chest, a totem, a gen. And other than that, it probably has the most dead space of any map because it's...
Fun fact, it's actually the largest map in the game. It's bigger than Mother's Dwelling.
Really?
100%, yeah.
I was about to say it's a very large map though. Yeah. Okay. But it probably, I mean, despite being a large map, it probably has some of the lowest amount of actually playable area in terms of looping or anything like that. So yeah, how do we... This is hard to...
No, it's smaller than Mother's Dwelling. Only just though.
Did you look it up?
Yeah, I'm looking at this game right now.
Okay, well then
it's only slightly smaller.
Right.
It's still really big though.
Yeah, it's a very big map.
When you consider the fact that we've already talked about how it has some of the lowest resources of any map in the game, if it's also in the conversation for largest map in the game, oof.
Yeah, that's a giant red flag.
But I love it, and I love Macmillan maps, and I love playing on it.
I will say that the fact that Doug's most evil killer main brain loves it is a red flag of why it's a bad map.
Oh no!
How
long are we gonna be here?
I want to see this.
He's right.
I want to see it in D tier. I don't like this map. I just think it needs. If they'd added, when Sadako came out, if they'd added a well to it and made it her map or something, maybe visually it'd been more interesting. But it's such an empty,
well in the
boring
center,
map.
the tree.
Yeah, it's just such a boring map. It's got low resources. There's no loops to fall in love with. There's no joy to be had on that map. It's just there. And if Rotten Fields is going at the bottom of C tier, it has to go below that.
I didn't know Gary was out here falling in love with loops.
See, the thing is, my whole I was trying to think of a way to make a joke about that too, but I couldn't think of anything that wasn't like TOS Monka. So I
Sucked off his feet by a loop.
Yeah, but I will say that like I am going to be huge. I'm going to be big right now and tell you that my personal bias has to be removed from this because I love the map so much because it's like I said, it's just I feel like I'm good at the game when I play on it. So, but yeah, overall, I can't argue. I have no argument to take it out of D tier. It's just one of the largest maps in the game with one of the lowest resource potential. Yeah. The new tiles that come out, the new useless tiles
suck.
Can spawn there. So like not only is this one of your pallets ends up being at like this ridiculous unusable tile, like it's this
right.
It's just I do have empathy and I have a heart and soul and my survivor remains matter to me too. So yeah, this map is bad. It's bad.
So where are we putting it in D tier? It's
fighting to be in C. It's fighting for it, but no.
It is.
We're not going to let it argue for C. Yeah, I would argue that it's better than Eyrie of Crows.
Really? Put it at the top of D tier.
I would argue that. I wouldn't rather get any other map on that list more than Shelter.
You're gonna make Gary mad.
Eyrie of Crows cannot be not the top of D tier.
I'll give you this
because it looks nice. It looks nice. If nothing else, Eyrie at least looks nice.
Wow, you're such a nerd, bro.
And there's loops to enjoy in that map. There's nothing to enjoy in Sheltered Woods.
Fall in love with on
Eyrie. Yeah. Oh, he's already loops engaged. To marry he's on engaged that to one of the loops on Eyrie, John. He's engaged to one.
I'm not taking any of the loops on Sheltered Woods to a nice dinner and a show.
You'll do that to Eyrie though.
Yeah.
Ew.
Me and Bird Lady.
Yeah, Bird Lady. Yes. All right. Let's see. How many do we have left? Let's see. We're not doing the Badham Preschool ones. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 remaining.
How are you doing on time, John? You okay?
We probably want to do like kind of a lightning round for some of these.
Okay. Easy though. I think some of the remaining ones are going to be not a lot to talk about. A lot of rehash.
Suffocation Pit, I think we already mentioned this earlier, that it was similar to Azarov's resting place. And that it's another map where it's very easy to 3-gen, or like not very easy to 3-gen, but the entire pace of the match revolves around whether you 3-gen or not.
Yes, yeah.
On one side of the map, you've got the Suffocation Pit, which is, I don't like looping that building as Survivor.
It's boring.
Personally, it's boring. It's got 3 different vaults potentially. 2 of them have breakable walls next to them, and the other one's like actually pretty strong. But other than that,
2 or 3 pallets around it that can be used in rotation when using it.
Yeah, and then on the other side is Killer Shack, and in between there's like a big bundled rat king of tiles that can either, depending on the RNG, be really useless next to each other, or you can get 2 LT walls spawning right next to each other and get like a free infinite.
Yeah, it becomes impossible to catch people.
Yeah. I've had one time that happened to me when I was playing Survivor. I was like, oh my god, LT wall right next to each other in the Killer DC. I wasn't able to enjoy it for very long.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel very similarly to Azarov's.
So we just slide it above Azarov's then, right? It gets the bonus points for being a Macmillan map instead of a...
Yeah, sure.
Honestly, yeah, I'd accept that. I prefer the color scheme.
Yep.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just a meh map. Just meh.
I'm kind of sad to see it get above Gas Heaven, but I'll accept it.
Here, let me...
I mean, if you care that much...
No, I don't care that much.
Above Suffo. We can put Gas Heaven above Suffo. They're all C-tier maps that suck. I mean, it's fine.
The game. Ooh.
I feel like Dawg should take this one first.
Yeah, Dawg, you go ahead. Wherever you want, Dawg. Wherever you want.
Let's calm down with wherever Dawg wants.
Can I just put it wherever I want? Because that's easy. We'll just say it's worse than, I think, Cowshed. I think the only maps that I think are worse than the game are Badham Preschool and Garden of Joy. It's an insane amount of pallets. It's still super small. It's easy to 3-gen on as killer. Yeah, like it's just equally shitty for both sides. Like it's not fun to play as. If you're an M1 killer, I got one hooked as Legion. I was playing as like one of the most notorious teams on West. I'm gonna give you guys that. Like they're legitimately like a 4-man death squad that goes out and intentionally tries to hurt people, and that's totally fine. They're having a good, and they're good people. I like them.
Right.
But I took the match knowing what I was getting into as Legion. I got one hook, and I got stunned with a pallet 27 times. Somebody went back and counted it. So it's just like a pallet density is insane. There's the 2 stories makes it really easy for like annoying shit like terror radius doctor, impossible skill check doctor.
Right.
It's just like I think it's just an equally unfun thing on both sides, and it's ugly. And
as much as I really want to disagree with you because it's funny, I do want to put it in D tier as well. I don't like the game. I don't like it. It is boring. There's the one building there's the one room with the mannequins that I quite enjoy, the 2 loops that connect together.
Yeah,
that's quite fun.
If that
but
didn't
the rest
also
of it
have a
sucks.
drop down, if that also didn't have a drop down to 2 more completely safe pallets, then I think that room would be cool.
Yeah, that room's fun, but the rest
agree.
of like the map I hate.
I feel like if they took the map and completely moved some tiles around to make them impossible to connect with, it could probably be more fun and then reduce some of the pallets. I think they could actually fix the map if they wanted to, but I know it's hard for them to work on licensed maps. So
can I just say too, this map also has the problem that drives me crazy where there's tons of breakable walls, but it's just better to leave them.
Yeah, I've never broken a wall. Never broken a wall on that map.
Yeah, so that you just like make the survivors corner themselves and stuff. Yeah.
The only time I've ever broken a wall is if I needed it to protect the 3-gen. Sometimes to get to travel between 2 gens. Other than that, useless.
Second swamp map, the Pale Rose. This is very similar to the Grim Pantry, except it features the Pale Rose, which is a boat. Always has a gen on it.
It's a boat.
It's a boat.
I've already kind of shared my thoughts on the swamp maps. I just put it above the other swamp map. I kind of hate them.
I would put this above Grim Pantry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Are we on the same page?
Yeah,
with
that?
Agreed.
I think the boat's a fun loop. I think I quite enjoy that as Survivor, and it's quite strong against killer. Sometimes a bit frustratingly strong. But then it's just a bunch of dead zones, and then
it has the same exact problem, right?
boring little loops here and there, and it's like it's like a weaker version of Grim Pantry for survivors.
3 good tiles, nothing else, ugly. Hatch spawns in weird places, spawns a poglog.
There's that gen in the corner, which always drives us mad.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, poglog, gen in the corner, horrible.
Yeah.
Fuck swamp.
Wow.
The Temple of Purgation, the second Red Forest map, the first one being Mother's Dwelling. This one features a very large main building, the temple. It has a basement, which is unusual because the basement can also have a basement. So you have double basement potential.
Basementception.
Which is one of the worst places to get hooked in the entire game is in that basement. It's got what else does it have? I mean, not only does it have a basement, it's also got a place where you can go upstairs and die. You can try to vault that there and get a free hit to the killer. It's got a killer shack. It's got
those long wall ruins with some quite nasty pallets that you can get a lot of value out of.
Yeah.
Some pretty
which
safe...
can sometimes link together in a really evil way.
Yeah, true. And it's got that one unique area with all the lockers and like the 4 columns, and sometimes there's a pallet in between.
Yeah.
It's got that weird like Stonehenge area too, where there's like 5 rocks and a generator, and there's nothing else. Yeah. I feel pretty similarly to this as I do towards Mother's Dwelling. I probably like it more than Mother's Dwelling.
I was going to say I much prefer to get Temple of Purgation than Mother's Dwelling. I think it's homes in B tier.
B tier.
Yeah, I think it's an okay map. Like there are some annoying loops for to catch survivors at sometimes, but it's also like some of the areas are kind of weak as well. And like as you said, like if you can get them in the basement of the main building, which they have to usually go to because there's a gen in there, that can feel quite strong. Like you can snowball quite nicely on that. The main building's not a great place for survivors to go to.
I accept bottom of B tier.
Oh yeah, okay. Happy with that.
Sure.
I put it below Ormond. I'm happy with that.
We'll give this to you, Gary.
Well, I just look at everything in C tier, and I'm not like, I would much rather play that map than Temple. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't bother me.
I think Temple also goes up for me just because if I get Mother's Dwelling, Like if the offering's been brought and I get Temple of Purgation, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You can use that like that whole subjective in your mind thing. Like I would rather play on Temple than Dwelling. So. Yeah, it's better. But not
enough that I have a little cheer in my brain.
Thompson House. So this is actually my favorite Coldwind map. Yours too? Okay.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I agree. It's the best Coldwind map overall, I think.
Yeah. I like looking at Thompson House. Like I think visually it's nice to see the house. Like it makes me think of Texas Chainsaw.
Remember when they reworked Coldwind and they initially didn't have Thompson House in rotation?
Yeah, they took it out, yeah.
That was really sad. That's what I was looking forward to the most.
Well, Thompson House needed the most work too because the old Thompson House was nuts. So
yes,
it was really bad.
So Thompson House has a main building, the house that you see pictured there in the thumbnail. Thompson House, actually very reminiscent of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think that was probably the inspiration here. The main building isn't in the center of the map, but off to the side, and on the opposite side is a killer shack. There's also a cow tree on this one.
Which is like in the other corner, like opposite killer shack.
Yeah, it's always in the same place, right? I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure. There's a hill, and other than that, it's typical tiles and stuff like that. I find the main building has very interesting.
It has a couple of breakable doors on the first floor, I believe.
And on the second floor, there's one.
There is one. Yeah, there is one to get to that gen. Because there's always a gen on the second floor, which is always there.
That generator, when I play kill on this map, I just leave that generator alone. I'm like, you guys can have that one. I'm not going up there. It takes so long to get up there because not only do you have to go up the stairs, but unless you've broken the wall, you have to go the long way around.
I love when when you're playing killer and it's the first gen to pop. You're like, oh, yes.
Thank God,
idiots! Yeah. They've fallen into my trap.
I think it's fun to play as Survivor because it's fun to run through and stuff. The building, but the building isn't that interesting as killer because I look at it like the Badlands in the Lion King. I'm like, we don't go over there. That's the only graveyard, you know.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I really enjoy the map overall, though. It's good. It's my favorite Coldwind. So I would say B.
I don't know if I put it in B tier, but I won't argue with you about it. Like if you want to put it in B tier, but I would rather play Ironworks, Suffo, Azarov's, Gas Heaven than Thompson. So I would put it like above Rancid as mid C. Because I think Coldwind still overall is like kind of just there's not a bad Coldwind map.
I think I'd rather get it
dense.
Than actually no. I think I agree. Actually, I think I'd. Actually, no. I think I agree. I think I agree with Doug. I think I'd rather get Gas Heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
Overall, I think I'd slide it above Rancid, but
if we put it below Rancid, can we move Gas Heaven above Suffocation Pit and Azarov?
Sure.
Because that's the way my brain's working. Is like I just really hate that.
We can reorder C tier. I'm not against that.
You want Gas Heaven up here?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree, but I'm not gonna fight. I think it's like splitting hairs. Like I would rather Suffo or Azarov's than.
So you want to do this? Is this
that
right?
That makes my brain happy. But what do you think, John?
So why does this make your brain not happy?
Because Azarov's and Suffocation Pit, I despise those maps quite a lot, and I just think they're like because they are just the 3-gen maps.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't.
So Gary's just like sneaking in a reorder from earlier.
I don't. If you want to move it, if you want to leave where it is, I'm just saying like when you said your list of where you'd place it, I was like that makes sense to me, except for Gas Heaven.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Fine. You know what?
So now we're good. So now our C tier is good.
We're pressed for time, so Gary's taking advantage of it. Torment Creek,
so
our last Coldwind map. I always forget the name of this one. I always call it the blimp map because it looks like it's like a wrecked blimp or something.
It's like a silo that's gone down, isn't it?
Yeah. Or it's a silo or something. I don't know. Yeah, this is. I mean, it's like this is just another Coldwind map to me. It's kind of like Rancid Abottoir. I would put them pretty similar.
Maybe between it and Thompson House, because I think you're right. It's just another one of them.
Yeah,
easy.
I don't have a strong opinion on it. It's just.
I think the trouble with a lot of them is they just have lots of fields, which aren't that gripping.
Yeah. Okay, well, Coldwind performed very poorly here, but that's to be expected.
That's what it belongs. Yeah, but it deserves it, I feel like. So.
Lery's a very unique map in that it is, it is completely indoors as opposed to Midwich, which has the atrium, or RPD, which has the outdoor.
So you could argue that Lery's has the 2 outdoor doors.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, but
they're not
there's-
really loops or anything.
there's
so you
no
can't really
reason to
play
go
around
there
them.
except when the game's over and you're going to the exit gate, right? So they may as well just be the exit gate. I don't know. Yeah, but Lery's is mostly inside, we'll say, and this is such an RNG map. If I'm playing Huntress on this, I hate myself. If I'm playing Hillbilly on this, I hate myself.
Oh, yeah,
If I'm playing like half the killers on the roster, I'm like, ugh, Lery's, you know, because there's so much line of sight blockage. So if you're playing Deathslinger, I mean, even Nurse, I would say, like, it's hard to say anything in defense of Nurse players, but this requires a lot of planning and foresight on the Nurse player, because as Survivor, you are constantly ducking behind a wall here. So it's a very mixed review for me. I don't really enjoy playing on it as Survivor either, because there's not conventional loops. For the most
It's just
part,
Windows, man.
It's just Windows.
Forever.
A lot of times, it's like the strategy is to just hold W and vault a window, and keep holding W and hope there's another window in front of you. I mean, there are loops that you can play, like the Office and stuff, but I'm just not a big fan of this map overall. I never want to go here unless I'm playing Jump Scare Myers.
D tier, just above the game for me. It's just a bad map. It's not fun for either side. Like, there are, again, the similar problems to the game. It's very, like, exploitable for, like, unfun stuff, like never heal Doctor, never heal Clown, never heal Legion. Like, this is very, like, the windows are too strong. It's impossible to freaking catch anybody. Can't use your power there if you're using an insta-down killer.
Yeah.
I'm gonna defend it a little bit from the aesthetic perspective. I like that the main generator, when you do it, all the monitors come down and get activated. I think there's like stuff to look at. I think there is some fun like places to loop and some enjoyable palettes to be had. So I would put it above Sheltered Woods for me. I'm happy to put it in D tier because it's not the most enjoyable map in the world, but
this map is more Survivor sided than Sheltered Woods is killer sided, in my opinion.
Ooh,
that's a fine opinion, but I get more enjoyment out of it. Like when I play Sheltered Woods, there's just nothing to it. Whereas Lery's is at least stuff to interact with. There's generators that like spawn in specific places where I know how I can deal with those. You know, I just Sheltered Woods is just such an empty map.
I mean, yeah. At this point, as long as it's in D tier, I'm happy.
I'm not happy, but I don't care enough to fight.
So I win.
The problem is, Gary, here's the problem. You want to tell what the problem is? Now we got to start going down to the maps that are behind Shelter Woods, because, like, basically you just want Shelter Woods move. It's not about Treatment Theater. It's about Shelter Woods for Gary. He's holding a grudge.
Yeah. Shelter Woods is a horrible map.
Because, like, Lampkin Lane is gorgeous. So do we have to put Lampkin Lane above Shelter Woods now?
I'd happily do that. I conceded Sheltered Woods for you, but...
I know, but now it's coming back to bite me when I really, really hate Lery's, and now we have to put it above Shelter Woods.
Yeah, but like Lery's has there is some joy to be had on that map as Survivor.
There's no joy. The joy dies on
to be
Treatment
had.
Theater, Gary. I have to replace my headset battery, so you can say whatever you want, and I won't hear it. I'll be right back.
What's Doug's deal? What's Hatman's problem? No, I enjoy Lery's to an extent.
Yes, you derive joy from it, as you told us.
Yeah. It brings me joy.
Gary was laughing a little too much during that break.
Well, here's a map I have a grudge against. Wrecker's Yard.
Oh, you can't.
Yeah, I can.
Why? Can you tell me about your grudge?
So Wrecker's Yard, I hate getting this map as a solo survivor. I view it as similar to Rotten Fields in a lot of the way. It's similar to Rotten Fields in that the Killer Shack is in the center of the map. It's an Autohaven Wreckers map. There's no main building, just Killer Shack. It's one of the first maps that they came out with. I feel like depending on RNG, the area around the Killer Shack can be not a dead zone, but may as well be, depending on the killer that you're against. I hate playing against like Oni on this map, Hillbilly. I hate playing against, because it's like a lot of times the map is organized like a tic-tac-toe field. It's like you've got these long lines of just nothing, uninterrupted movement for the killer, where they can just, if they've got Oni power up, they can just cruise on through on the side of the killer shack, and I just there's a couple of gens that are just literally dead zones, like on the far ends of the map, where there's literally nothing around. If you get caught out there, you're taking a hit no matter what. I find that I lose on this map constantly as survivor, and I find that when I'm playing as killer, I have to work really hard to lose on this one. I'm just not a fan of it. I don't think it's interesting. I think the layout, the playable area is very, very small, because it's not a small map, but like between the area of where the tile is and the wall, there's often like 20 meters of nothing at all, except like trees, maybe one of those crappy Z walls, you know? I just hate it. I'm a Wreckers Yard hater.
I think those are all very fair points. I can't argue with any of them, to be honest.
I'd argue S tier, and but we don't have the time to go into. I'm being serious too. That's the sad part.
I thought as soon as John said like I have to try really hard to lose as survivor, I was like, as killer, I was like, Doug's gonna love this map. He's gonna top tier
that's
map.
Not why.
Top
that's
tier.
not why. Because honestly, it's a really easy map to win on as survivor if your survivor's playing well. But again, it's the coal tower, and John plays solo, so I understand one of the reasons why he would hate it. But it's the coal tower of the junkyard maps, in my opinion. And we could argue about it, but we don't have the time. So I'm going to accept that you guys are not going to let it be an S tier map, and probably not even going to let it be an A tier map. So if we could get top of B tier, I could be happy with it.
Top of B tier?
Yeah. Is that, if we could just say it's better than Blood Lodge, Father Campbell's Groaning?
I got to put it.
Is that going to be,
going
to be acceptable?
I would argue.
I would be conceding to put it like top of C tier. Like, because I think it goes near Rotten Fields, but
oh my god, you guys.
Yeah.
Again, there's nothing special.
One of the very best maps in the entire game is going to be put in C tier because of time constraints. This is the saddest thing.
We can always revisit next week. We can.
I mean, if I'm invited back.
If you're invited back.
If I accept my invitation.
Yeah, we might bring in. We might bring in Angry Pug to get his thoughts.
You guys all I'm going to say is you guys putting this map in C tier is going to make me into Hat Man. It's my villain arc will complete. It's such a good map. Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna defer. Again, we have no time, and Wretched Shop is gonna be really easy. So I just
want it under Blood Lodge. I can't have it be the highest Auto Haven map.
I can accept low B instead of high C. That I'm happy with.
It's definitely better than Ormond and RPD. I don't think there's an argument beyond that. I like it better than Groaning Storehouse, Chapel, and Blood Lodge, but I will accept the middle of B for now.
Okay, mid B.
And then when we do,
I think
later on,
putting it above RPD is very generous.
It feels like mid B is the best we're gonna be able to do, because you want it S. And I frankly want it D, so
mid B is like the midway point, right? Between the two. Yeah. We're just gonna we don't have time to argue, so we'll just put it right in the middle and we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. We'll revisit this. Wretched Shop. Right. I'll be honest, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, Wretched Shop is Suffocation Pit and Azarov's resting place, right? It's the same map. It's like kind of in the same vein to me. They're just they're, I guess maybe not it's not as spread out, but it's just kind of like it's a mediocre map.
Yeah. I would put it above Gas Heaven is what I would do.
Yeah, I was thinking high C, so that works perfectly for me.
That works for me too. We still talk about Shattered Square, right?
Oh, Shattered Square. Well, that would be D tier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would. Earlier on, I said Garden of Joy would be the worst map for now.
Here, let's. Badham Preschool 1 will be our Shattered Square.
Okay.
For the visual.
D tier. It's the worst thing. It's the worst map. I hate it.
Is it under Garden of Joy?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No way. It's not even.
We haven't even got to play on it working. The palette problem's still happening. It is a bug. They tweeted out that it is a bug. We haven't even got to play on the proper version of it because it's been bugged since release. It's not good for the visually impaired because everything's so bloody red. It's boring to look at.
Maybe we should. Well, then maybe we should take it out for now. Or
we just don't do it because
we don't do it
Because it's not been
'Cause it's
functional.
not-
That's fair.
That's
That's
not
fair.
functional.
Then we don't have to argue about it
Then we
anymore.
don't have to, yeah, exactly.
We'll argue about it next time. We'll do a little.
Well, yeah, because we haven't really explored where we would put the knight still either, because we were going to stew on it.
Oh yeah, and this killer tier list, yeah.
So we could save the Shattered Square and the knight for next week. Something to tune in for next time.
Yeah.
Well, this was quite the season, and I'm very sorry that we had to kind of cut the arguing short. But I think we were all kind of like winding down and losing a bit of energy anyway.
And I will say, I'm pretty happy that Coal Tower's we've seemed to have decided it's the only S tier map in the game, which
I know.
I would argue for a few of our A tiers being S tier, but it was not. Again, it's like there are always going to be reasons why you can't. I don't know. I think you can even argue that that Coal tier is not S, right? Like you can.
Honestly,
you can argue that.
These were our initial placements, and I think that we could do a follow-up where we go back through and we comb through and we're like making adjustments and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's what I started with, like Gas Head. I was like, I don't like where that's placed in this,
right?
Like, so
yeah, because it's like we might decide, oh yeah, Azarov's a C tier, but then we like look at what's around it and we're like, hang on a second, better than Thompson House, And so,
we kind of already did that a few times, right?
Yeah,
so I think we could comb through this one again in a future episode, especially people like this one.
Yeah. If you want us to do that, leave comments.
I can't help but notice how bottom heavy the tier list is, though.
It's just like our killer tier list.
Yeah, it's true.
But you know what makes me really happy is our A and S tier. I love all those maps. Like that's a really strong top
That is
end.
good.
Like, the good maps got representation.
I've even surprised myself with how, like, because Midwich, when I was really thinking about it, usually I think, oh, I hate this map because I always think, oh, it's killer sided. I'm gonna have a bad time in solo queue. But when I think about it, A tier, quite happy with it. Like it's where it belongs.
Yeah.
Overall, there's so many worse maps.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best of the worst.
Well, good. So just a quick recap. Coal Tower in S tier. A tier is Dead Dog Saloon, Midwich, Disturbed Ward, Sanctum of Wrath, and Family Residence. B tier, Blood Lodge, Father Campbell's Chapel, Groaning Storehouse, Wrecker's Yard, RPD, Ormond, and Temple of Purgation. C tier is Ironworks, Wretched Shop, Gas Heaven, Suffocation Pit, Azarov's, Thompson House, Torment Creek, Rancid Abottoir, Mother's Dwelling, and Rotten Fields. And finally, the much debated D tier. I think that's what D stands for, right? Debate?
Debate.
Yeah. The debate tier. Eyrie of Crows, Lery's, Shelterwoods, Pale Rose, Grim Pantry, Haddonfield, Fractured Cowshed, The Game, Springwood, all of Springwood, and last and least, Garden of Joy.
Garden of Misery.
Garden of Misery. I'm very happy with our tier list. Our initial pass.
Same. I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah.
There's definitely things that I think we can revisit this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to, because there's some things I'm seeing on here like, I don't know about that. But yeah, we'll take a look at it another time with fresh eyes and fresh energies.
That marvelous.
Want to thank my co-hosts Hatman and the Blonde for joining me again today for season 10. Who knew?
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Double digits.
I know.
Oh, season 10. We didn't do anything special for our, was it like a centennial episode? What do they call it? 10? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
10 seasons. 10 seasons. It's gotta be.
Yeah, 10 seasons. That's a big deal. All we did was this tier list, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you mean all we did?
I mean, yeah, this, you know what? This was special, right?
Yeah, this was a great way to celebrate it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And hopefully nobody gets canceled in the comments this week over any of our friendly debates.
I'm hoping that we get a lot of sparkle of debate in the comments, because I'd love to read it.
Yeah, I would like to know what people think about some of our discussions here.
I was very disappointed because some of the killer tier list comments I got on the video were just like, this is the worst tier list I've ever seen. And I'm like, well, don't stop there.
Yeah, tell me why.
Tell us why.
Tell us why, yeah. Well, I can tell you right now that if your average killer main sees that we've got all the Coldwind maps in C tier, they're going to have a conniption fit. So just look forward to that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be bad.
But we've got Garden of Joy down in D tier. That's got to make them happy, right?
It'll make them, well, that'll be like, yeah, but we've also got Wrecker's Yard in B tier. Like, just, okay. I assume we're going to get some comments, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, I hope so.
I hope so.
I hope so. And I hope they give us all nicknames.
Yeah, gotta think of a nickname for me. Yeah, but thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for season 11.
It's gonna be a good season. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.